Hello everyone and welcome back to what is night 2 of our first 2-night SummerSlam. 2025 is a bit of a crazy time. We get 2 events, WrestleMania and of course SummerSlam, and there are more to come. WWE's plan at the minute, more PLEs, more days, more nights, more everything. The plan is quite literally more of everything. Last night was not the best night there's ever been of wrestling. It was a bit difficult, it was a bit average, but it was largely rescued by the main event. The crowd was still hot for the tag match before that with Jelly Roll as well. But honestly, overall, I'd say there's a very high likelihood that we're looking at CM Punk versus Gunther as match of the year in future. Potentially competing for that alongside matches like Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. So that alone elevated this show. This time around, though, we have night 2, and I've got to say, there are much better options in the lineup for this one. There are much better matches in the lineup for this one, and I'm much more excited to see a lot of the matches in this one. It's also very stipulation heavy. There are not a lot of quote-unquote wrestling matches in tonight's wrestling show. So it's a slightly different situation that we find ourselves in. It's still sponsored by Wingstop. Becky Lynch is still being Becky Lynch, and John Cena is still trying to pretend that he's not evil. Will we see The Rock? Will we see Travis Scott? All of these are very unlikely. What we are going to see, though, and what I'm personally very excited for, is TLC featuring like 2,000 guys. It's street fights. It's no DQ. It's triple threats, which is how we're going to start the show tonight. It's good stuff. And it's a lot of people eager to compete with CM Punk and Gunther. I'm excited for that. Our opening vignette is a mix of crowd reactions and non-crowd reactions, by which I mean essentially streamers like myself. The big surprise of the show, I think, was of course Seth Rollins cashing in. As Wrestling Observer had been reporting, I was waiting to see what the end result was going to be, and honestly, a lot of people seemed very excited by it. You've got to say, if that hadn't got out, some people just delight in spoilers, and I promise you for the next year, the Wrestling Observer are going to be taking that victory lap. Welcome everyone to the show. There's 14 of you already, 6 likes. Be sure to hit that thumbs up as you come in. Welcome. Marcel was the first one here saying hi Tom and chat. How are you all? Welcome Marcel. Very good. Hope you are too. Sai came in second. 3-hour pre-show. Let's go. Yeah, that's insane. And I certainly couldn't have survived it. I think I watched the last hour. Bailey says I skipped the pre-show. It's overkill. I agree. And also says, wildest and most unlikely prediction for tonight, Seth's briefcase actually did not have the contract in last night, but they awarded him the belt. He cashes in tonight. Bailey says, any idea how many people work on an event like this? Cameras, production, behind the scenes? When you factor in everything, including things like catering, security, there are about 200 people on a show like this. And that's just the backstage. Liam says, hear me out. Punk versus Rollins at Mania 42. No holds barred. Becky comes out to help Seth and AJ's music hits to allow Punk to win the title back. Everton, welcome to hi Tom. Sorry I missed yesterday's stream. Can't wait for this one. No need for an apology, mate. Always glad to see people. Why is there a man surrounded by smoke on my screen? Is he Big Smoke? I always wonder what Big Smoke would actually look like. I wonder if he got a number 5 and 2 number 9s. Jordan says, very good evening again, Tom and chat. Here we go, and cheers. Welcome, Jordan. Thomas says, hi, Tom. Sorry I missed yesterday's stream. Enjoyed night 1, but do you think this is going to be miles better? Yes. I would say night 1 was average. We were amused. We weren't thrilled. Which I think is always worth mentioning. Everton says, what did you make of Cena on SmackDown? Now that I've had a chance to actually watch it, I still don't believe it. Still don't believe it. Billy thinks the women's triple threat will probably steal the show. I mean, that will be coming in very quickly. Triple H making his customary major PLE entrance. The man likes to be talked about. Fiend says, if you're wanting to hear an atrocious take, Brian Alvarez said CM Punk versus Gunter was atrocious. Wow. I genuinely gave it a 10. Hector says, I think the fact that it was spoiled made me less excited because it felt inevitable. And Juan says, fun fact, back in 2009, Jeff Hardy won the world title in 2 minutes and CM Punk cashed in and ruined his moment. There was a lot of cash-ins from CM Punk. That was his way for a while. Zai says the pre-show was quite something. Talking of the product, gimmicks, and pops. Yeah, we're entering a very new phase of wrestling, aren't we? Where if you're watching everything, then you're an insider. Zai says, I'm not sure how they could talk about planned retirement for AJ and Cena taking a year to retire right in front of Big E. I was there for that one. Just opening myself an Iron Brew, guys. For those aware, I'm still not 100% healthy, but I'm a lot better than I was on Friday. The fact that I'm about to spend the next 3 hours plus talking is not going to help the situation. So by the end of the show, I'll probably be in a bit of a worse position. But for now, I'm okay. Can already feel some coughs coming. Just to prove me wrong. We have Triple H doing Triple H things, of course. Trying to hype the crowd because apparently there's no Cardi B for night 2. Of course, while he is the chief creative officer, he also seems to be embarking on something of a political career now. Republican, of course. So I says, Punk Gunter was my favourite match of this year. I'll take storytelling over spot fests every day. I thought it was fantastic work. Genuinely did. I got more and more invested as the match got going. I always seem to provide welcomed commentary on Gunter matches. I know the man well. Let's pretend I didn't say that. Fiend says, I think we found out tonight that Cena is aligned with Seth and his faction. Cena wants to ruin wrestling and take that belt home so Seth can have the only world championship in WWE. That was certainly something I was thinking of not long ago. Hey, no worry, Aaron, you do what you gotta do. Rhea Ripley opening the show on her way down to the ring ready for her triple threat. Hector says, take this with a grain of salt, but Ibu, formerly of Wrestle Purist, formerly, what happened there? Said that there's a thing happening tonight that's main event related. How bad do these quotes get? So what you've essentially said is something will happen at some point in relation to some other point of the night. That's the quality of reporting we've got, right? This is a guy who has laughed in my face when I correctly reported on the debut of Marigold and the deal between TNA and WWE being struck before WrestleMania. And that's the quality of his reporting. Truly amazing. I would argue as well, this might be the most prominent spot Naomi has ever been in. I don't know how everyone feels about that, whether everyone agrees, but I do think this is probably the most prominent spot Naomi has been in her entire career. Like, she's won the championship at WrestleMania. She never really felt like a big deal while doing it. Fiend agrees, says it is. It definitely is. Naomi's bigger than she's ever been. This is insane for her. Coming in to a huge SummerSlam against Rhea Ripley and against Io Sky, but coming in as the champion, it's a great position to be in. Shows how much more seriously she's being taken right now. Rhea seems thrilled. I feel like Naomi's going to get cheered here. WWE have given the game away a little bit there. you can see Cody's trapdoor. It's very blatant. Drive-by says, hi Tom, do you think Roman is gone now for another few months? Because apparently filming for Street Fighter starts in September instead of August. No, I think he'll definitely at least be on Raw. I think we'll see him for a couple of weeks and then he'll vanish again. Drive-by says, hit the likes guys, and thank you kindly for that drive-by. We have 16 people here and 10 likes. If you can, please remember to hit that thumbs up. Hector says, I see Naomi retaining because Io and Rhea will get in each other's way to set up their one-on-one match, and most likely the PLE in Perth, so Rhea can finally get her win back. The Rhea versus Io feud isn't really being focused on because they've done triple threats and they've done variation and Naomi's become the champion, but it is starting to lose its luster a little. I mentioned yesterday, and I stand by it, they need a shake-up now. They need a draft. They need some changes. They need some new competitors. Drive-by says, Fiend says Seth will have many people confronting him. LA Knight, Jay, Sammy and Roman, maybe Punk too. Yeah, I would imagine so. I think LA Knight's got an automatic sort of first refusal there. But there are some good options for opponents there. We're apparently taking a moment out before introducing Naomi. For those unaware, I think I've said it a few times, the WWE, particularly under Triple H, will do half-hour blocks per match. You could see that at play last night. The first one usually goes beyond a half hour because of the intro videos and the introductions, and then matches get shorter as the night goes on. There's a few matches I expect to go quite long. TLC, anything involving Cena, Jesus Christ, a man doesn't sleep. But there are also matches I expect to be relatively short, such as Dominik Mysterio versus AJ Styles, for example. I also think Becky versus Lyra probably won't be the longest, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Fiend says, will Roman go for the title he wants to talk shit about? Probably not. I think he'll be staying away from championships for a while. I think Seth will celebrate and just sort of forget about everything that's happened while he's been out. Oh, that's why they were killing time. Naomi's got a special entrance. A caution guitar. It's just interesting knowing that until this point, WWE just never seemed to want to take her seriously. Interesting, I did not know that. We're learning here. Sharing a bit of Naomi lore. He's got his own title card. I'd imagine the guy designing the title card is waiting for Michael Cole to say his name. Oh, and under instruction, he's on his way down. I like it. It's a proper introduction. It's not just a special introduction, it's a proper one. She's being treated like a star. She's being treated like a champion. I also can't really hear if he's any good. He seems drowned out at the very least. Someone's told him not to come all the way down. Fiend says, really freaking cool that her dad is playing her to the ring. She seems to be very happy about it. I'd imagine this might have been something of a dream. Taylor ready to Alicia Taylor ready to introduce Naomi, still very much vamping. Jordan quite liked it as well. That's how you start a SummerSlam. That's how it should be started. Cameraman didn't know who to focus on there. I did find it very interesting. Quite recently, they had the report out. I can't remember who it was, stating that, hey, they're going to push Rhea Ripley. You mean like 5 years ago they're going to start pushing her? Is that what this was? She's going to be the future of the company. Duh. People do come out with some bullshit, don't they? That's cheers. It's a mixed reception. But it's cheers. Marcel, I don't know the full match order. I just knew that this match would be opening. Rhea Ripley, innit? So I'm not sure when the TLC is going to be. I know a lot of people are excited for that. Wow, that's an interesting stat for Io Sky. I feel like the commentary team are also just being fed the right stuff now. Right, okay, let's go for this. Let's see what we got. I like Io's gear. I like the big bobble. Got very long hair. So what I expected was that the two of them would beat the ever-living crap out of Naomi for most of the match. I still expect that to happen. They'll find their moment. Hector says, I think the only thing I expect to happen in Cena versus Cody is a serious overbooking, because Triple H loves him some overbooked main events, especially ones involving Cody. He has unfortunately got a bit of a history for it already. Triple H likes to assemble the Avengers. If The Rock was involved, however, he would like the focus to be entirely on him. It took a lot of arguing to get him to do the WrestleMania 40 main event the way that he did. He wanted to be a bigger deal. Naomi has been pincered. And she about to be squished. The Kane outfit in the crowd is not bad. Ah, good old-fashioned wrestling. Are they going to do They're going to do tag team moves. You know what? Why not? It's like therapy. Oh, okay, that was good. Rhea had to add a hop into that. That was quite good. I actually didn't see that one coming. I gotta say, most wrestlers, they've probably never been bulldogged into Rhea Ripley. Okay, so Io and Rhea were supposed to be staggered there. Sort of staggering, getting their bearings, but Io was just stood upright and watching. Ah, it's a good boot. I like that the replay cam is nowadays smaller than the actual cam. It never used to be the case, and it always put me off because you couldn't see what was actually happening. And there's a few people who haven't found their seats yet. I do love the irony, if no one's noticed it. The irony of Naomi stealing via cash-in the championship from Io Sky, whose first championship came via cash-in. Why has no one pointed that out? Io's furious about having a title stolen. She shouldn't be. She's got some history there. What is Rhea doing? Oh, okay. I was going to say, what is Rhea doing? But she's got a thumb bitten. I get it now. I get it now. She was kicking her leg like a dog having his belly scratched. Does that if you're getting bitten? I don't blame you. Sorry guys, it costs very much back, it seems. I'm also jealous of her hairdresser. Getting the hair that pristine, that cannot be easy. Oof, okay. Interesting. They're playing the triple threat very nicely. I would say Naomi's getting the offense in now because for most of the match she's going to be fighting from underneath. It's like when you get Kane in an Elimination Chamber match. If he comes out and starts chokeslamming everyone, he ain't going to be there long. He ain't going to be there long. Fans getting behind EO even though she's not in the ring at the moment. Ooh, references to TNA for Naomi, who of course did walk out of the company. I'm surprised more people aren't trying to say this is a message sent to Sasha Banks. Or Mercedes Money, of course, as she is now. Hey look, if you came back you could have been a champion. Yeah, she always could have been. If she came back moments afterwards, she would still have been arguing for championships. I'd also argue that her time in TNA helped Naomi to diversify the moveset. She's added a lot to her repertoire. I do feel like maybe she got comfortable, if you know what I mean. Maybe she got a little bit complacent during her time with WWE. I don't necessarily think she was trying to advance, to develop. And the time away really sort of forced her hand there. It's like sometimes you get cozy in a job and then there's a risk of firing and suddenly you're pushing really hard to see what you can do, you know? Fénix says, I don't think the wounds are fully healed between WWE and Mercedes. It's true, a lot of them are, but there is still a little bit of bad blood there. And honestly, I'm not going to blame anyone for it. Sometimes, well, you know, time heals all wounds, except like crazy eyes. Tables have turned here, Naomi getting a bit of a beating. No drive-by, it was just for this entrance. Now we're getting to the part where they're both beating down Naomi. Okay, I do want to say, I love that they're just friends. At 619. I love that they're just being friends. You don't see enough of that in wrestling. How many times have you seen, oh, all these baby faces are tagging together? Why? Because the booker said so. Maybe just because they're friends. Maybe they could just be friends. As much as we've seen this a million times before, usually still a good watch. Bailey says, time heals all wound, so do big salaries. Fair. Oh, okay. Oh. See, this is what I mean. Rhea Ripley's been in the company for quite a while now. But that was new. She's diversifying her offense while actively involved, even though she's not necessarily a champion or anything like that. And that's how she's keeping people interested. It's not just about the character, it's about what you do in ring. Get some new moves every now and then. Show people what you can do. Worked for Cena. Cena was doing Cody cutters. I don't think many people remember that now, but Cena was definitely doing Cody cutters. Drive-by says, I need Cena to retain tonight. Can't deal with another Cody reign. It's been overkill. I personally don't think Cody's leaving with that belt. But hey, The Rock might force a heel turn. Ooh, that one can go very wrong. It hasn't, but it can. Bailey says, if Naomi could win a title, could Natalya? Her work in other promotions seems her way of showing WWE that she can still work. And I do believe she's attempting to show that, but I also believe her contract is primarily coaching now. So I don't think the WWE really want her to be winning championships. They didn't necessarily want Naomi to be winning championships, but a good storyline came up. She's worked really hard, and she's changed minds. I like that. Great slide into a knee. Okay. The Razor's Edge is one of those moves that takes up... Oh, Jesus Christ, Rhea. Few things on that. Firstly, sexy pin, pull. The Razor's Edge is a move that usually takes far too long to get into. There's lots of fiddling around. Io Sky is like, I'll sort it out for you. Beautiful. Well done. Secondly, for the powerbomb, the deadlift powerbomb, there is user participation on this. Io Sky's job is to grab Rhea's hands. And that essentially holds her weight in the right place. It means Rhea basically just has to curl instead of anything else. She doesn't need to focus her grip in certain places. Io Sky is provided to that pivot point. You just curl. Rhea Ripley didn't need that. She had her by the thighs and she was just like, yeah. Oh, see, that was a perfect catch. Camera work was shoddy, but the catch was perfect. Sai, that is a guy in a Spurs t-shirt, isn't it? I don't know if he's still here, Sai, but I'm sure you'll hear about Spurs shirt. She caught her toes, didn't matter, and it was a perfect catch. That was a problem yesterday, and I think it might have had something to do with the ropes, apart from the fact that Roman flew. So I think it's more likely to do with the spring under the ring. For those that don't know, in the middle of the ring there is a spring to make it bounce. It helps with dives, and also cushions your fall. Now that I've mentioned it, you're going to see the ring literally just going all over the place, aren't you? Hector says, I know the roster is stacked, but it's still crazy someone as over as Stephanie Vaquer doesn't have a match or anything to do during a huge SummerSlam weekend. She's getting a lot of attention, but there is such a thing as too much and it starts to drive fans away. So I get what they're going for. The Spurs shirt is in the entranceway. If you're a wrestler coming down to the ring, it's at the corner before you get to the ring on the left. So opposite hardcam side, but still in the entryway on that corner. You might need it, Si. You might need it. You've got a problem there, haven't you? Sean says, hello, Tom. Hello, Sean. Oh, big fall from Rhea. Really selling that kick. Oh, okay. Oh. Io, you're going to have to do something here. Naomi, move. Yep. Okay, I like what they did. I like everything that's happened. Pinner. Ooh. Okay, happy with that. Love that. Floated as well. Oh, loving it. Sean said, and according to Fightful, Randy and Jelly Roll were supposed to win, but it was changed last minute. Okay. I don't think anyone's ever going to dispute that one way or the other, even if it is wrong. I think we all know you're not allowed to dispute Fightful. Sean says, how many title changes do you see tonight, Tom? When I went through my predictions, I was surprised to find that the number is actually 0. I was as surprised as anyone else, but the number is definitely 0. A typical WWE triple threat for many years was always what we're seeing right now. That was a Sure You Can. Which, by the way, if you separate it out, Sure You Can becomes Sure You Can. Throwing that out there. But a typical WWE triple threat is what we're seeing now. There'll always be someone outside the ring. Close to the ropes, Io. Rhea was keeping an eye out for her. She was keeping an eye out for her so that she could say to Naomi, move. I'm correct. That's good to know, Si. Got an eye for him. Sean says, let's hope tonight is better than last night's show. I hope so. This first match has definitely been better. Higher octane, higher tempo. More teamwork involved. I think putting 3 tag team matches on the same night, all of which involved a lot of building to hot tags, it wasn't good. It didn't help anyone. I wouldn't necessarily say we're building to the finish just yet. But we're developing well. Now, my immediate thought when it came to this match, the reason I thought Naomi would win, is because of her, for example, getting involved with Jade Cargill. Oh, that was really painful looking. Jade Cargill lost clean as you like. So there was absolutely no need, no requirement to continue the feud. Naomi's just left her alone and moved on. And Jade Cargill just could not do the job. Potentially Bianca Belair maybe, but I think it's still early days. Oh. I'm starting to think maybe just... Oh, okay. Okay. Bloody hell. I'm starting to think maybe, just maybe... Triple H has heard some of the criticism of his constant dodgy finishes and has decided to just give some clean wins. Liam says, who do you see helping clean? I'd imagine they can hire some cleaners. Maybe a Terminator. Hector says, do you think Triple H was the reason post-PLE shows are changing from the press conferences? I don't think he liked getting some of the questions he would get and he was never really transparent. I think they've been unsuccessful. I think the intention was to generate as much headlines as possible and to get other people streaming them. But in reality, there were too many scandals. They were worried about getting asked real questions. And it just wasn't financially prudent. Oh, Liam says, who do you think is helping Cena tonight? I don't necessarily. I think he's just going to kick some dick again. She never gets a lot of hype for that. Io's looking for the ropes. Oh, okay. Tights. Yeah. Experience and pure wiliness. So says, do you still see Jade in WWE in a year's time? I don't know if I see her in WWE in a week's time. It was a very, very decisive win. And it does not give me confidence in WWE's intentions toward Jade Cargill's career. It just doesn't. Sean says, Bianca dethrones Tiffany. Tiffany needs some new challenges. She really does. I would be throwing Rhea over there, to be honest. I'd like to see what Rhea, Ripley and Tiffany Stratton could do. So he says, clean wins on a card with 5 no DQ matches. I know, right? Now, this is technically a no DQ match in a triple threat, but the only real no DQ element was a bitten finger. I never understand why triple threats don't involve a lot more refusing to let go of chokes, for example. Submission moves. What are you going to do, DQ me? So I says, okay, interesting choice to take the pin. Nice start, 7 out of 10. I'm giving it an 8. I really enjoyed that. I thought there was a lot of new moves and a lot of variation. The focus was very clearly on Naomi, and I think Naomi came out of that looking by far the best. I also think it is interesting seeing that Naomi has just picked up technically a win over Rhea Ripley using the pin. She can really celebrate that. It also potentially, and I think it's what we're seeing right now, starts a bit of a downward spiral for Rhea. She can't beat Io, she can't beat Naomi. Who can she beat? For me, this is intriguing. I'm giving it an 8. Bailey says there were very few traditional journalists at the post-PLE press conference. Most seem to be fan-related sites. Yeah. The WWE didn't want the serious journalists there. They wanted the dirt sheets. They wanted to control what the dirt sheets were reporting, so they wanted to invite the dirt sheets and feed them there. Unfortunately, if there's one thing we know for a fact, it's that wrestling fans and wrestling journalists cannot be trusted. Do you remember Io Sky being asked about Taylor Swift? Yeah, it got worse, didn't it? Fiend says, good finish. I'm surprised Rhea took the pin though. 8 out of 10. Great opener. Glad Naomi won. And I think it was good Rhea got pinned. Jordan said, solid start. Let's hope this sets the tone for the rest of the night. 8 out of 10. Marcel gives it a 7.5. Either way, I think that was a solid start. Good action. Good pace. It did finish a little earlier than I would necessarily expect, but women's matches are always going to be shorter than Roman Reigns matches in WWE. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Fiend says, I'm sure the dirt sheets who are on Tony's payroll were told to say no. No, that's definitely not the case. Everyone who worked directly with AEW in those early years, Wrestling Observer, Fightful, etc., they still turned up. They just didn't turn up themselves. Bailey gives an 8 out of 10. And Marcel says a TLC match is next. Thank you, Marcel. I don't need the full breakdown, but if you want to just let us know what's next before it goes, I'm absolutely happy with that. So the next match is going to be Carnage. That might be why this match went a little short. Short is relative. It went long enough to be fun. If you can't have a great match in 15 minutes, you can't have a great match. Reaffirming SummerSlam in Minneapolis next year will once again be a 2-night affair. August 1st and August 2nd, gone are the days when SummerSlam ended the summer. Fiend says those teams have a lot to prove. Debatable. I mean, I personally believe the SmackDown tag division has been the most consistent division in the WWE. And one of the most exciting divisions in wrestling all time entirely. I only know the name Tyrese Halliburton because of Xavier Woods signing him as a free agent on Battle of the Brands. Bailey said, did Dave Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp ever appear at one of those post-PLE press conferences? I seem to recall seeing Brandon first in at one, but his question was brushed off. As mentioned, typically they would send other people. We saw Michelle McCool, and after that we go straight to the Cone Zone. The Cone Zone. Sean said, do you see Nikki Bella competing for championships? Yes, though I don't think she's going to have any sort of prolonged championship reign. Certainly not anytime soon. She's there for the elevation of others, rather than necessarily the advancement of herself. This, as we know, is WWE killing time. WWE just trying to waste it a little bit while they set up the ring with all the ladders. Pete says, has it started already? Yes, it has. You've missed one match. It was quite a good one. It was a triple threat. Bailey says, how soon before talent is forced to wear sponsor logos? There's already been talk about having sponsors on the trunks. That does not look like Madison Square Garden. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's not square. As we know, infamously, Madison Square Garden is a square. Not a cube. Square. Oh, we're celebrating a bit of TLC history. 2 of the teams. Okay, so naturally this is going to be Dudley's and Hardy's. Yeah, Dudley's and Hardy's are going to be there. They can't have Edge and Christian, can they? They're under contract elsewhere. Devon did not want to get the tables there. The Hardys are indeed there. Also, I recognise that one. I don't mean the Hardys, I mean the one behind him. Jeff seems better. Matt seems happy. I'll leave it there. I don't see them coming back. But WWE are still happy to take a pat on the back for the use of their names. Cool, Bailey, cool. Sean, the amount of money that would cost me would be absolutely insane. And it would not really be worth it. Fiend was excited to see the Hardys. It's a shame they couldn't in some way involve Edge and Christian, but we are where we are. Liam says, who have you got for this match, Tom? Again, and this is probably almost impossible to expect, I don't have any championships changing hands tonight. Naomi's managed to retain. That's pretty cool. That's a good start. There are so many options here. All of them are good. I want to be clear here. All of them are good. I almost don't care who wins a match. Whoever wins, we've still got great things coming. But I do personally still think that we're going to see the 6 retain, at least for a little longer. Joey saying the Slim Jim tables return. Sean says, I wouldn't mind Motor City Machine Guns winning. And Fiend says, Adam Copeland and Christian aren't exactly allowed to go to WWE. I'd imagine Tony's an arsehole about that. He's not. He's actually not. WWE have reached out in the past to say, can we feature this person or that person? Typically, historically, Tony Khan has said yes. He just wants the AEW name to be mentioned on TV. So it'd be a case of, and currently wrestling for All Elite Wrestling, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. That's what he would want to hear Michael Cole say. The WWE have refused each individual time. Joey says this is a tough match to predict. I could see any team winning. I agree. There's no bad choice. Ciampa thankfully starting to grow his beard again. Does not look right about it. Although I've got to say, for his age, he looks fantastic. I'm jealous of that body. Fiend says, any team but the Wyatts. Interesting, given your name. I would have thought that was the other way around. John says, I'm surprised MJF has appeared on the advertisement for Happy Gilmore 2 when WWE shows them. Slightly different. Because essentially WWE get paid to show those. And money is more important. I got nothing against Howdy, Liam. I got nothing against Howdy. I'm watching that pig, though. Bailey said, this is why the phrase independent contractor is a sham. Merely attending an event should not be contractually forbidden. And it's not contractually forbidden. It's not. If Adam Copeland and Christian Cage would like to buy tickets, they can absolutely appear. But the WWE will not show them on TV intentionally. Fane says, I prefer the other teams. And also says the audience sure isn't loud for the teams. We had a bit of this yesterday. I suspect the crowd just isn't particularly well mic'd. I also think they might be saving a little bit of love for the 6. Joey's missing Fraxiom's old theme. A lot of energy out of those two. And Eric says, any reason for another 3D versus Hardys? No. Ooh. Sai says, Motor City Machine Guns are bizarrely 18-1 outsiders on Sky Bet to win this. Interesting. Have you got the rest of the odds side? I'd be interested to see what the odds actually are. I'd imagine the odds are very much the White 6 retaining. Autumn, welcome. Says, don't forget to watch the pig, guys. Always and forever. Watch that pig. Y'all don't even know what's coming. Okay, so these entrances are taking an incredible amount of time, as you might expect. And I've got to say, they're definitely fast-pacing them. But I also think the Wyatt 6 entrance is going to drag. Interesting. A new entrance for Andrade and Fénix. I quite like it. Fiend, I'd imagine a license ran out, but I would also argue that quite a lot of wrestlers, superstars as it were, are just in need of a bit of a refresh. Something new to give them a little more staying power. Just something exciting. Gotcha, Sai. Thank you very much. A shame, but it makes sense that the odds are no longer visible for a match that's actually starting. Okay, so they've got hype, they've got pyro, and I can't breathe. I definitely can't see. I've got to say, it must be a little awkward having multiple luchadors called Ray. Also, Fénix is so far behind that for a moment it looked like Andrade just lost his partner. He just vanished entirely. Joey thinks the themes sound AI generated, which I've got to say, AI has actually reached music for sure. Hector says, it's a shame this PLE is starting this early. I feel like any Wyatt-based entrances look much better in dark arenas and when it's dark outside. I agree. Having the Wyatt entrance during the day when he faced, I think it was Cena, just made it awkward. Just made it awkward. Ooh. Sean has looked at Bet Online, says Wyatt 6 at -180 to win, which he makes him a favourite. They also have Lyra as a favourite, Jacob Fatu as a favourite, and Cody as a favourite. Not quite my predictions for most of it, but it's interesting to see how different sites have laid it out. They're setting something up here. They're killing time. The big entrance. Oh, of course they would use a platform. Yeah, that makes sense. Joey says, I remember they did the Balor and Edge match during the day. That was so silly. The decisions you make can seriously undermine the talent that you've got. And that was definitely an example of it. Gonna have my final lozenge of the day. Like, they're still cool in the masks and the outfits and stuff, but having them just walk out from behind the curtain, it doesn't help the allure. Also, where are the belts? Like, can I just... Where are the belts, guys? Do you forget them? They're above the ring. What am I talking about? It's a ladder match. That's on me, guys. I do love the help on Rowan's hammer. Okay, so I expected the Wyatt 6 to be closer to ringside so they could get involved, but it looks like they're actually just going to leave their boys to work. I also feel I should point out, once they take off the masks, the only thing really putting them into Wyatt 6 is the eye makeup. Outside of this, they look like Dexter, Lumis and Joe Gacy. The mystique is definitely harmed. Oops, size all over this. Andrade and Fénix at 13-10. Wyatt 6 6-4. Fraxiom 5-2. Street Profits 10-1, DIY 12-1, and Motor City Machine Guns 18-1. Interesting. There's a clear favourite there. It's not the Wyatt 6. Bailey, Nikki Cross, I haven't seen her wrestle in a long time. A long time. Joey says it will be hard to wrestle in those masks, I'd imagine. I agree. Absolutely it would. And it's only really Bo Dallas pushing to make them. Yeah, I get you, Eric, and to be fair, that's probably a little push for that to get the attention. I wouldn't personally be after it. Sean says, I know you've talked about it before, Tom, but I wonder when we'll get that Alexa-Nikki match. It was on the cards, potentially for WrestleMania. Never quite got around to it, especially after Alexa Bliss became available. WWE were changing the card, and she didn't really make it on. Is Johnny Gargano okay? I want a proper view of the right side of his neck. It looked like there was something red there. Or was it just poor camera work? Either way, we seem to be in the flipping and flying section. Flipping, flying and ladders? It's hard to tell who's friends here because I know they all are. There aren't necessarily heels here. I know DIY are technically heels, but even they have a lot of respect from the people in the division. It's hard to tell who you're supposed to boo, though, isn't it? Like, Street Profits were heels, and then they just weren't anymore. Maybe the Wyatt Six, but you've had no reason to boo them. These are all just popular teams. Hector says that theme, the lantern, the rocking chair. I'm so glad they still show respect to Bray every time they come out, but it just hits harder on these major PLEs. Eric says, is Candice there? No, she wasn't shown making her entrance, and there's no suggestion that she was involved. Joey says, quite rightly, the Profits are natural faces. Oh, I still go back and watch a lot of Viking Prophet stuff. I don't even know if I should like it. I just do. Oh, he missed. He missed. It didn't save him. I'd love to get a replay of that landing because he did. He completely missed the ladder. He ended up rolling to the outside, but he was supposed to be doing something. Oh, they're going to do it again. Oh, no, your angle's wrong again. Oh. I think that's Joe Gacy's fault, actually. He's not running at them straight on. Oh. The crowd's confused. He's trying to pump up to get the tables, but all anyone saw was Angelo Dawkins slapping Montez Ford, and they were like, wow, hang on, there's a breakup happening. No. So this is lost here. The Slim Jim situation is not going to help. Yeah, so I says they're all confused, they just stopped. Nobody recognised what the reference was going to be. All just moved on. Sean says, surprised they ended Speed, Tom. Mr. Musk probably won't be happy losing money. Yeah, but right now WWE have very, very close connections to the president, and the president and Musk are not exactly on speaking terms. Eric says, if you were booking the Wyatts, would you have them supernatural or real world? Jesus. Bit of both. I'd have a supernatural aura to them. And then when it comes to in-ring, that's clever. When it comes to in-matches, it would depend who they're facing off with. Because I do feel, no matter how strong your aura, you're still going to struggle to beat someone like, for example, Gunther. Aura's not everything. Hector says, did you see they killed off the Don Tony D on NXT, taking inspiration from the ending of Sopranos of a black screen? Do you see him getting a new gimmick upon his call-up? No, I'd see him staying roughly the same, but what I will say is Sopranos infamously ended in the middle of it, and it also, I cannot sit there and guarantee that he hasn't actually just ended his contract. They're done, innit? Bailey says, matches like this seem to be built on getting more people on the card than a coherent match. I agree. I also think we're getting a lot of hard cam right now. Like a lot of hard cam. Like, we had a lot of focus on the Dudley boys during the whole get the tables business. We didn't actually cut to them for... Oh, bloody hell. I keep forgetting how good he is. We didn't actually cut to them until a long time after the whole spot. The other Mike says, I don't think the supernatural stuff works anymore because we're grown now. And yet the swamp fight was still relatively well received. Oh, the light chair shot. This is a really fast-paced match. Everyone knows their spots, everyone knows where to be, and there's enough people that they're all getting the necessary rest time. Joe Gacy really committed to that. He's taking a beating today. Fiend says, Tony D is a character who I can't see working on the main roster. He's reached his ceiling and I feel like there's not really a place for the character to go. A lot of that was also said to Dexter Lumis. That his character wouldn't work on the main roster. And to be fair, it didn't. They've had to rebrand him entirely. Oh, there's a lot of chairs to the face. Just a lot of chairs to the face happening. Oh, for a table. Oh my word, Joe Gacy's taking a beating and a half. There's someone else on a table there. There's someone there on a table. There's people everywhere on Oh, I don't know what you're going for. I'm glad you got it. Let's not be throwing the D word around. There are so many people on tables right now. The pace of this. There's one more person on a table. Oh, Angelo Dawkins' turn. Ciampa? Usually when you go for a table in it... Oh, okay. Hurricane Rana? You're going to do a Hurricane Rana. This is going to be insane. Oh. That's worse. That's worse. Yeah, just go. Just go. They missed it. They went slightly too far. We're going to have to do some checking on some people here. That was a lot. Again, typically in a TLC match, once you go through the table, you're eliminated from play. And that would mean that we're 5 people down in the 12-man match. That would make sense, given everything that's happening. You can see, oh, Candice LeRae's now involved. Would make sense given that you had pieces of basically every team. But there's just so much happening. Yes, Hector, I did see Becky's reaction to Seth catching in. Do you know what she was doing? All credit to her. That was a bad landing on the table leg. That's going to hurt. Now Nikki Cross getting involved. Joey says those table spots were insane. Nikki's about to do some damage. That could have been better, could have been worse. This is a brilliant match. And there's a lot of spots here you're not going to forget anytime soon. Okay, guys, you're going to have to move the ladder. I could see Montez Ford there. Into the... Yep, that makes sense. Oh, no, Candice. She's fine. That was a good sell. But... She made a choice there to go knee first. Knee first. She drops that knee. She does it intentionally. It's padded, so it might actually be a good call. But she made that choice. She chose to go knee first and then, yeah, just sold it like the plague. So he says that's what this match needed. More people. Yeah, Fénix, you'll be fine. What we haven't seen for a little while is Dexter Lumis, who put someone through a table rather than being put through a table. Oh, here comes Eric Rowan. Yeah, it's the numbers game kicking in again. Lovely Montez Ford. He's very good. He never looks comfortable hitting that leg. Rowan with what was essentially a pop-up powerbomb there. Hector says, I've seen Candice's PWG matches. That woman can handle anything brutal like ladder spots. She absolutely can. And as I say, she made that look so much worse because she intentionally dropped the knee. I think Bailey, I might be too well trained. I've watched too much WWE. Right, this is another one of those moments where the wrestler is communicating with the other wrestler. Essentially, when Rowan rises, he's showing his back. When he shows his back, what he's saying is, hit me again. He's saying, I can handle it. When he lays flat, the communication there is, I want you to stop. You will notice Montez Ford stopped relatively quickly. Angelo Dawkins lost himself momentarily. And then when Montez Ford dropped his chair, Angelo Dawkins went, oh, yeah, fair, fair. Eric Rowan will be fine with it. That's another table down. Is this the most tables ever broken in a single match? I'm surprised it took this long for This Is Awesome chant, to be fair. Ciampa has risen to the top. Here come the machine guns. As he got a grip, they took their time to make sure he was well stacked. There's just a lot going on in the ring right now. Spear? Oh no. Oh, magnificent. Beautiful. Also, can I just say, I want to compliment the camera. I want to compliment the camera work, but it's just the hard cam. I'm actually talking faster because I'm this excited about what's going on in the ring. That is a rarity here. Amazing work by Gargano. That's got to give him the win. I've just seen Montez Ford. I'm very happy right now. Night 2's been very good so far. I'd also like to point out there has been not a single person who has climbed the ladder slowly. Not a single person. There is no situation right now where there's no stamina. There is no person who's exhausted. Those ladders are set up to be pushed to the side. I've just seen the tables in the rampway. So I know which ladder's going to be going. Oh, howdy. Sorry, DIY. They did a lovely dive there. They did a lovely dive. Howdy says no. Fiend said this has been insanity. It absolutely has. This is everything a TLC should be. Oh. The one person who climbs it slowly. Uncle Howdy. I like that he's reaching past him. Oof. Very smooth bump. Ray Fénix building for some reason. Is Howdy going through a ladder? This is how you book the Wyatt 6, let's be fair. Hector says, after the women's triple threat set the pace, I'm glad this tag match is keeping that pace. Ooh, I think that's the win, because Rey Fénix has held on. After the women's triple threat set the pace, I'm glad this tag match is keeping that pace going. This is a crazy good match and so much going on. I think that might be it, Rey Fénix. The camera's hiding someone. How is Joe Gacy standing right now? Very smooth. Very smooth. Are they just now going to demolish everyone? Lumis trying to guard. Gacy climbing the ladder. Boos. And that is a retention for the Wyatt Six. And it is boos from the crowd. That was amazing fun. That was fantastic. And it did come down to just too many people. Eric Rowan involved, Nikki Cross involved, Uncle Howdy involved, which is what we expected. I was saying, like, who are you supposed to boo? How about the guys who have everyone involved in their behalf? It's helped to establish who they are. It's helped to establish what they're doing. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that a lot. I'm going to give it a 9. I can't put it on the same platform as Punk versus Gunter. I can't. I also couldn't take my eyes off the damn thing. I really got into that. I think that might be the best TLC match we've seen, just because it all moved so quickly. My concern with the Wyatt Six moving into the tag division was that they didn't quite fit the energy levels. They couldn't necessarily keep up. I feel I've just been proven wrong. I feel I've just been thoroughly proven wrong. They didn't just keep up, they excelled. And they were willing to put themselves through hell. Liam says, holy, what a match. Fiend says, that was amazing. Marcel gives it a 10 out of 10. Bailey says, everyone was a professional out there and everyone goes back to the dressing room safe. John says, thoroughly enjoyed that. 9 out of 10. Loved it. And love for Bray. Zai disagrees. Says, hot take, the middle of the match saved it. 7.5 for me. Tough to not overbook a match with that many people, but it was messy in parts. It was messy in parts, and there was definitely a lot to the point where it was too many people. That is definitely how the Wyatt Six picked up the win. Personally, I still enjoyed that, but I appreciate your opinion there, Si. Joey says, that was great. Loved every spot. That was carnage. That was just carnage. Oh. Imagine having to follow that. Imagine being, for example, Dominik Mysterio and being told, hey, you're up next. Imagine having to follow that. No Name says, watch that damn pig. You will note that it is a pig who got the championships. I stand by it, and I think I always will. Always and forever, watch that pig. Okay, we've got boxing ads. So it says, Ciampa's spot was genius though, and perfectly executed. The dodge was amazing. I think that's when they truly hooked me in fully, and I couldn't take my eyes off afterwards. I thought, oh, they're doing a tribute to the spear that, you know, Edge did to, I think it was Jeff Hardy. And then he dodged it. And then the hard cam was tracking Johnny Gargano trying to defend him and succeeding. It was, such good shit. Marcel says Becky versus Lyra next. The other Mike also says, I thought Becky Lyra was next. Well, I've not got to the point where it's announcing what's next, so let's find out. I'm sure it'll come up in a moment. There was a rumour that Becky Lynch had a new theme, wasn't there? See what that's all about. We had what was a very quiet crowd shot that's slowly waking up. Were we doing ads? Oh. We've gone back to Trump again. And somehow we're also celebrating Instagram on this. Fénix says, I saw an idea where someone suggested the ideas of Wyatt's testing teams and whether they're capable of staying together or breaking up. One of the issues that we're having is that a lot of what the Wyatt Six are doing really steps on the toes of Karrion Kross. Are you about to give us a recap of yesterday? You're about to give us a recap of yesterday, aren't you? There is a point at which you're just wasting time. Still not loving it, Si? Fiend just says, oh, brother. We're getting a recap of Seth Rollins' return to win the World Heavyweight Championship from an exhausted CM Punk. But the focus is very much on who's mentioning it. Yeah, Joey, Trump very much likes to see his own face. It means he'll watch the show. Dean says, I can see why they call WWE a MAGA company. WWE is a MAGA company. WWE has always been a MAGA company. They've had Donald Trump literally appear in their programming before. Bailey says, is WWE working to get Trump to attend one of these PLEs like he does with UFC? Yeah, the gloves are off at this point. Historically, particularly in the first reign, it was a case of let's quietly try and veer him away and stay apolitical. Not anymore. At this point, if you're not considered to be a MAGA company, then he cuts your funding. He raises tariffs and you basically have to give him a load of money. Okay, this is a genuine massive waste of time we're doing now. How long has it been since the last match stopped? I mean, I get it that you've got to do cleanups, but how many pieces of a ladder are there? Okay, so it is indeed Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria up next. Huddle Talk, I share my opinion, but just to be clear, you are welcome to your own. I don't necessarily agree with you, but you are welcome to have your opinion in here. We are not that sort of collection. P says, I don't think Trump has any idea how tariffs work, but this isn't the place. True. Fiend says, the funny part is that Shahid can't, and I'm sure Tony can be considered MAGA companies too. Yeah. Joey says, I'll probably feature Trump now since WWE is partners with UFC. Again, it's not necessarily to do with that. It's that during the first term, they were attempting to be seen as unpolitical, whereas at this point, it's almost impossible to be unpolitical. You look at what's happening with Amazon, with Facebook, with Meta, all that jazz. It is pretty clear what the situation is. We're about to get another very, very long hype package. Because these guys now have a lot of history. They've wrestled a lot of matches. Yes, Hector, Donald Trump has been in the Hall of Fame for quite a long time. Since his days teaming with, was it Bobby Lashley? You know, the real Americans. I will say, and I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear, this feud has been amazing for Lyra Valkyria. This feud has made Lyra Valkyria a recognizable name in the wrestling world. Naturally, this is something she can and should take advantage of. Of course, her success has resulted in greater success. This match was supposed to be Becky versus Bayley. We were supposed to have moved on from Lyra quite a while back now. But she's done well. Becky Lynch is trying to make sure she maintains that push. And Bayley as well, having returned. Bayley essentially has voluntarily stepped aside here to ensure that Lyra Valkyria continues to get pushed. I do think it's a situation whereby we have to celebrate the previous generation, ensuring that there is a future generation to come. They are not protecting their spot. They are not afraid to let someone else develop. They're training their replacement. That's where we are now. They are training their replacement. The reason I don't have Lyra winning is because I feel like if Lyra did win, this feud would just continue. And as good as it's been for Lyra, it is getting incredibly repetitive. Because they didn't have plans. This was not the intention, and they haven't really been able to come up with anything compelling to keep it going, beyond just, it keeps going. It's time to move on. It's time to develop. Lyra could very easily move into a feud with Naomi, for example. Sorry, Liam. You're suggesting that Julia should be used to put over someone else? Joey says Lyra has become a star since feuding with Becky. Fiend saying Lyra's stocks went up. Joey says it finally feels like the women's mid-card titles are elevating the talent. Yes and no. Becky's elevating the title, which is elevating Lyra. But championships are only as good as their heritage. Hello, Cecil. Good to see you, mate. It's good evening, Tom and chat. Happy Sunday and SummerSlam. Happy Sunday and happy SummerSlam to you too. Bayley naturally dropping a woo. It's definitely a good little addition to the theme. It connects easily with the crowd. Fiend says Lyra's fiance was at the WWE SummerSlam tryouts. Interesting. Not quite manager Joey, but partner in ways. Liam bringing news from Fightful Select paywall says the happenings around John Cena versus Cody Rhodes tonight have been kept quiet, like the ending to night one last night. So what Fightful Select is saying is we don't know what the result is. That's all. That's all they're saying. Fiend says, I've seen some of his work. This as regards Lyra's fiance. He's a good worker. I think he could be good for Evolve or NXT. I'm sure he will be judged fairly and will not be judged as Lyra's fiance. Cecil did not love seeing how briefly CM Punk was a champion last night. Okay, so this is Becky's new theme. Kind of sucks. Yeah, it kind of sucks. New gear as well. Don't hate that. Hector says, I don't see Becky getting a brand new theme with licensed music just to lose. I have Becky retaining anyway, but I don't hate it, Fiend. She had an iconic theme, and she just got rid of it. The other Mike says, sites be coming up with the most strangest ways to say we don't know shit. Fact is, they've got to justify people spending money on an update. So if there's no update, they have to try and justify it using their phrasing. So it's literally a case of the results being kept secret. What you mean is you don't know. Just say that. Just be honest. You just come up with a different way to say I don't know that dodges the phrase I don't know. You're saying you know something, but you're also saying you don't know anything. It's okay to just not know something. Ugh. Liam also says, per Fifel, Bron Breakker was seen limping during a photo op today and remained seated throughout the session. When asked, WWE indicated that he would be evaluated. Eric says, where does Lyra go from here? Tag division? No, I would throw against Naomi. At least briefly. Give her a chance. Joey says, I guess she's fully embracing being a heel now. I mean, I reported she'd be returning as a heel quite a while back. She enjoys it. And she thinks she can do more for the people she's working with as a heel. I kind of agree. I get where she's coming from. I know, Hector, I don't like to eat on stream, and I'm always on stream when I'm watching a PLE, so... Fair, Fiend, fair. Joey says, did you see them taking shots at Travis Scott on the pre-show? Seems like WWE doesn't want to work with him again. They do not. They very much are not interested in ever working with him again. The bridge has been burned. I don't know the full details of what happened, but the bridge has been burned. Yes, Cecil, I do indeed have Cena. Though if I'm spending all the money on the dirt sheet, I know something's happening and that nothing's happening. I do like the red and blue that they've done. The opposing colours, as it were. The Raw and SmackDown, as it were. Becky does love a good swimsuit style. Fiend says, do you think The Rock is fully aware of it and probably gets why WWE doesn't want to? Yeah, The Rock will have been briefed. He's the one who was pushing Travis Scott to be involved. And he was the one being told, we don't want this guy. Eric is enjoying this version. That's a crowbar. That's going to hurt more than that kendo stick. I like what they've done here. I like what they've done here. I also feel like they've just updated the shillelagh. This one's going to hurt. Joey says, I think The Rock is the only one who wanted to work with Travis Scott. Cody was open to it. Just never really went around. Just to be clear, if The Rock is there, he's going to want Cody turning heel. The Rock has convinced himself the answer to everything is Cody turning heel. Nobody likes it, including Cody, but The Rock has very much convinced himself. Thank you, Liam. I try my best. There's a feeling someone will help Cena tonight. Blue says, they've changed Becky's theme. Is nothing sacred anymore? I'm with you. Becky's theme was iconic, and they just got rid of it, and it was amazing. My youngest is going to be very upset. Fiend says, do you think The Rock wants Cody to go heel because Cody took his dream match at WrestleMania 40? No, he wanted him to go heel before that. He wants to work with Cody. He wants Cody to be his, as it were. He thinks Cody should be the anti-Austin, but there isn't really the option for an anti-Austin. Austin was the anti-Austin. It's the whole thing. I'm assuming that's Lyra's family. And she's just beating up Becky in front of them. Becky would enjoy that. She would find that funny. She used to be that person. Now, we've had the crowbar, we've had the kendo stick. It looked all right, but this is a no DQ match. Let's get a bit more intense. Blue says Rock wants to conquer Cody as the face. I can totally see it. And Sai says they're changing themes. I need them to take Seth's sing-along away if he's our monster heel world champion. Oh, so it was. Appreciate it, Fiend. Crowd are being loud for her. Well, I was about to say, I just think they need to get more hardcore. And then Lyra goes under the ring again, so we're about to. Mike says, we know the actual reason Cody is opposed to going heel. Does he just like people cheering him? Little yes, a little no. He believes overall it's going to hurt his brand, it's going to hurt his income, and he doesn't feel comfortable playing heel more often than not. I'm recognising now why they've not gone no DQ immediately. You know what they just followed. So they did want to differentiate, but now we're back to tables. Whereas in the last match, we broke probably all of the tables in the known world. What should have been done is that she goes looking for tables and just cannot find one. That's a chain. Lyra trying to help her get her in the mouth. Was going around the neck and Lyra had to make sure. Oh, okay. That's a good visual. That's a very good visual. Liam is asking any Samoans to debut tonight. I'm sure we'll find out soon. Hector says, I agree with you, Tom, in regards to Cena's SmackDown promo. Seems like perfect heel work and he just played Cody like a fiddle. Cena definitely knows what he's doing. Fiend says, Cody doesn't need to go full on heel. I think I just want to see his character evolve enough and develop. The issue you've got is that the person who is pushing for the heel turn, the person who wants to be in charge of the heel turn, is The Rock. So it would need to be the biggest heel turn in the history of heel turns, which is not something anyone really wants. Oh, fair, Mike, you're right. There is so much. This is, again, why the setup, the breakdown between nights was so confused. We do have another street fight tonight. We've got a no DQ and we've got a street fight and we had a TLC. And we've got a cage match. There's just a lot. Blue says, I honestly don't see a reason to turn Cody right now. He's super over. I agree. And Sean says, so far night 2 is much better than night 1, which I very much agree with. We're on to our third match, and it's another good one so far. Okay, why is the crowd... The crowd were not focused on the ring. The chants were not for the ring. That's her doing Happy Gilmore. Good old flex. I've watched Happy Gilmore too. She's alright in it. They don't really give her much to do. Liam says The Rock wouldn't even show up after doing the turn to tell the story. Yeah. When he showed up at Bad Blood, I reported at the time, there was no plan. He was just local. That's literally the only reason. He happened to be nearby. There was no storytelling intention. Becky Lynch pulling out the toolbox. Bailey said, why doesn't Becky go to the crowbar? Largely fear. She's a heel. She's supposed to be scared of things. More chairs? Okay. 2 chairs and a toolbox. Not the buddy comedy I want to watch. That wasn't right to the spine. She hit her in the butt. She again hit her in the butt and that didn't really do any damage. Lyra does need to learn to crawl sideways, if you get what I mean. She didn't really present the target that she should have been presenting there. Okay, that's nice. She couldn't seem to decide whether she wanted to hold the nose or the neck there. Becky showing off some experience. They've really painted that toolbox to look fancy. Again, I don't feel like Lyra showed the body parts that she should have been showing. I'm a little confused by the announcer cam. What are we looking at here? Are you gonna tie your hands together? That you can't do it like that. That's not how you do that. Guys, that's not how you do that. Also, can I just say, Lyra told on herself a bit there. She tried to cross the wrists, which is how you should have done it. Don't do it like that. Do it like that. You can see her moving it. But yeah, she told on herself a little bit there. The good old-fashioned rubber wrench. Been a while since we've seen one of those in play. Hector said they didn't follow her prior to NXT, but was Lyra homegrown or did they sign her from the Indies? I'm not sure. Personally, I believe she was homegrown. It's not a career I've necessarily followed. We'll remember that, Sean, and we'll talk about it at the end of the show. At the end of the match, I should say. I would say as well, when it comes to this match, it is a little slower, and that's a good thing. Because we've had the breakneck pace, now we need the one-on-one action. Oh, okay. New Day Uso style. Oh, immediately broke. They're designed to be breakable, but that immediately broke. I do like that Lyra's trying to fight back. She's not just waiting for the hits. I also feel like Becky's going real light on her. Couple of the chair shots, couple of the kendo stick shots. She's going light here. I think she kind of likes Lyra. Lyra trying to get in position for a leg drop. I think Becky there recognising that she was too close to the toolbox. The referee having to essentially mount her to make the count there. Mount for the count. Like, she's being creative. She's trying to come up with interesting ways to do things. Can you make a bear hug out of this? I mean, you're pretty strong. Oh, headbutts. That's a choice. Eric says, is Cody filming Street Fighter one of the reasons you have Cena winning? One of. Oh, there we go. She broke the ties. Using an aggressive hug. Okay, to be clear, the zip tie definitely did come undone. It definitely did. So why is it back? Oh, have a drink. Sean says, do you see The Rock coming back? Eventually, yeah. Like, he does want to be involved. He's just not willing to give any of his time up. Oh, lovely drop kick. Lovely drop kick. Good evening, Lady May. Hector says, alright Tom, after some Googling I found that Lyra was signed to and trained under Finn's promotion Fight Factory over in Ireland prior to signing with WWE and debuting in NXT UK. I would argue that she wasn't necessarily on the indies there and could be argued as homegrown, but at the same time Finn Balor is not a feeder. So that does make sense. So little from column A, little from column B. Good Googling, Hector. Credit to you. Very nice moonsault. I like what Lyra's doing here. She's showing something new, something fans haven't necessarily seen, at least for a while. She's wrestling no-handed. That's pretty cool. They're finding ways to make every match memorable so far. Okay, so that's a rope. What's your plan here? Guys, just to be clear, she could slip that hand out very easily. She could slip that hand out and she knows it. Okay, so we're a turnbuckle down. I don't know what she was going for. She's nowhere near that post. She's very clearly shown that she can wrestle, I'll have you know. This match has been given quite a lot of time. Also good news. Loud chants for Lyra, which Becky will be very happy about as well. You've got to remember, Lyra is kind of Becky's project. So Lyra's success is Becky's success. Been a while since there's been a fire extinguisher shot. She's nowhere near Becky right now. She blasted it out with she was nowhere near her. What are you doing? How is that helping you? What are you doing? Meanwhile, kendo sticks elsewhere. It's a good use of a no DQ so far, by the by. The zip ties definitely made things interesting. What are you doing, Becky? Again, light with the kendo sticks. Lyra's in the ascendancy. Been a relatively even match so far, with the exception of the zip ties. I feel like we're now at the part where we're about to enter into an actual wrestling match. Becky rolling out to the outside, completely making alive what I just said. Again, it wasn't a steel chair to the face, but it was a steel chair to the face. I think that's like the 4th time this has happened so far. The crowbar's still in play. Hasn't really been used since, but it's very close to where they are right now. You're not hitting that. It's going to be a Nightwing, isn't it? Jumping off? Jumping off. Like, the only other way to do that is far too risky. So yeah, jumping off. It means we've technically had our first finisher as well. Doesn't look like this is a comfortable moment for Becky. But she's doing what she needs to do. Covering her mouth. We're going into the final phase. Becky's calling the spots. Cleverly done there from Becky. Rolling out to the other side again. Oh, thank you, Lady May. Welcome. Hopefully you feel welcome here. Hearing a lot from the fans, but again, the fans aren't necessarily looking. Oh, that should be that. No? Oh, it's not. Fair enough. A finisher into the chairs, a quick cover. Becky wanted a quick kick out there. She wasn't trying to protect a finisher, she was trying to make Lyra look tough. Which again, you don't really see that in the men's. But you can... I want to know what is distracting the crowd because they are not paying attention to anything that is happening right now. They're all looking off at the far side somewhere. It's like me and the camera. So we're in the final phase, but still a few steps needed to actually reach the finish. Oh, okay. Well, that looks brutal. Okay, so there are people doing waves. That's not great. Yeah, the crowd seem to have given up a little bit here. Meanwhile, there's actually a quite unique and innovative spot happening. Like, this is interesting stuff. Lyra making sure she continues to struggle. She never sits idle. Oh. Buckled on her chest. Now we're back to the crowbar. You don't introduce something like that and then not return to it. Logically, she's going to block this basically from the grave. Becky's taking the time for something. Oh, okay. I'd argue that Bayley took longer than she should have done there. Are we about to get a proper Bayley heel turn? Good crowd heat for her. Sean says, not a fan of Becky's new theme. Bring back her old, then it's iconic. I'm not supposed to say old theme. Bayley left herself wide open from behind. I get what you're saying, Fiend. It is very cheerful, but at the same time, a good point was made earlier. Seth has survived pretty well on a theme that definitely isn't for a heel. Camera's gone off Lyra Valkyria entirely. Oh, and Bayley's gone missing now as well. Oh, she's at the table. That's a risk. Yeah, okay. Lyra with the out of nowhere leg drop. So it still could go either way at this point, to be honest. I could see Bayley still having another step. I hope the people who weren't paying attention look back at this at some point. As I say, it's slower tempo, but that's a good thing. You need that variety to break it up. We've had a table spot, we've had some unique moments. We've had a Bayley surprise. And we've had a tease of a Bayley heel turn, of course. Good reverse. There it is. There it is. Do we all remember when Sean said, Becky's going to win, trust me? I told you to remember. Oh, sorry. Becky's going to lose. Yes, he did. I've got it there. Becky is retained. Which is another championship retained. The third one in a row. I still have all 6. But that means I'm at least achieving a 50% on my predictions here. It comes down to Bayley. And I feel that's Valkyria moving on to Bayley now. We move everyone away. We shift everyone away. Becky finds someone new to feud with. There are plenty of good options. And we go from there. This is, I think, a great time for a Raquel Rodriguez versus Becky Lynch feud. Would be good for Raquel. And could also potentially be good for Roxanne as well. Sometimes we all feel very strongly, Sean. It's fair play. Jordan gives an 8 out of 10, says night 2 is very good so far. I think that's fair. There were definitely moments that could have been done better. There are definitely spots which didn't quite connect as I think they were hoping for. I really liked some of the offense. I think there was a lot of different ways of doing things, but her hands were not tied. She could have got out of that very easily, and the smoke and mirrors wasn't as effective as I think they were aiming for. However, I do think Lyra continues to be positioned very well. Lyra continues to perform very well and get reactions from the crowd. And I think the crowd let them down there. I think the crowd let them down. I'm going to agree with Jordan. I would give it an 8. Not quite as good as TLC. Certainly not in the region of Gunter versus CM Punk. But still a brilliant match and really goes to show what they can do and how well they can use the no DQ format if they decide to. The crowbar was interesting. The table spot was good. The Bayley thing was very protective. Very protective. Fiend says Bayley clearly didn't regret that. I mean, if she did, she could have still got involved in the pin. Kevin thinks the other match between Becky and Lyra was better. Bayley gives it a 7 out of 10. Says Lyra held her own. Becky isn't as mobile as she once was. The other Mike says Rhea Becky feud again. I'm fine with that. I mean, we could well do. As I say, I think she should be working a bit lower down the card. Hector says, is Lyra going to have more heel tendencies? Because Bayley doesn't seem to want to turn heel, even though I miss Bayley being heel and constantly calling Michael Cole an idiot as well as ding dong. I think Lyra's had sort of heel tendencies the entire time. Nothing inescapable, nothing unmissable, but there's been a tease of a temper there the entire time. Marcel gives it a 7.5 and says, cage match next, Solo versus Jacob. Cool, I'm excited for it. They are really trying to sell tickets to this immersive experience, which basically is you can't go to SummerSlam, but you still want to give us money. Awkward. So that tells us essentially the layout of the rest of it. If it is indeed Solo versus Jacob next, It means after that it will be the Intercontinental Championship, AJ Styles challenging Dominik Mysterio, and of course our main event, which will be John Cena defending the championship against Cody Rhodes. Jelly Roll is at ringside. I'm surprised Logan Paul isn't actively beating the hell out of him, but he seems pretty happy with his overall work. Kevin says, you know how difficult to follow the TLC match was? Yeah, absolutely. It definitely must have been very difficult, and honestly, I did recognise her. And honestly, I do think they did achieve that. They weren't quite as fun for me, but the variety was very important, and they did provide us with something very good. Sean says, I want Cody to win, but I think Cena will win because someone will come out and help him. It would be very funny if it was Travis Scott. Be better if it was Batista. Hector says, Tom, have you watched any of Cody's podcast? What do you want to talk about? Oh, no, I've watched clips. Oh, Pete says, I've interviewed Tiger Lily Gold. Tell us the story, mate. Tell us the story. Hopefully a fun one. My biggest interview remains Triple H from my days actually interviewing wrestlers before the pandemic shut me down. Okay, so far, I am 3 for 3. However, we are now nearly 2 hours in. They're not going to pick up the pace, and this is one of the matches where the favourites were sort of the other way. I'll be interested to see how this goes. Jacob Fatu, once again, the numbers game, doesn't have allies. He doesn't have allies. There's only so much he can realistically do. I like your work there, Sean. There's only so much he can realistically do. Whereas Solo Sikoa has basically everyone. Jimmy Uso, I'm sure, will be involved here. This should be an overbooked mess. We should see JC Mateo. We should see Tola Tonga. We should see Tongaloa. We should see Tama Tonga. I think this is probably the Tama Tonga moment, really. And of course, Jimmy Uso as well to be working with Jacob. Although you never know, maybe Jimmy turns on Jacob tonight. Stranger things have happened. There is an element of paint by numbers to the bloodline in general. Roman always had one more person to add. Solo always had one more person to add. Now, again, Solo has one more, person to add. Man's got a lot of friends. Man's got a lot of family. Building a dynasty. Yeah, that's cool, Pete. That's cool. Kevin says, TLC match was unfair. Every single Wyatt 6. That's cheating. They definitely did cheat. How dare they? How could they? Unacceptable. I do think this high package needs to try and avoid having the police say anything at any point. They weren't great. They weren't great. Yeah, they cut that part out. It's clever. Hector says, when the OG bloodline ended, I was worried Solo would be irrelevant, but giving Solo more personality has helped him tenfold. Because before he seemed robotic and bland, now he's pretty charismatic. I also think he's got a banger of a theme. There are elements of Solo's presentation which needed a bit of help and a bit of work. And despite fans kind of turning on him in a big way, I'll also say he took it in stride, he went away, and he improved himself. That's a man worthy of credit. Fiend says, thoughts on show hijacking audience members being kicked out of the stadium? It's not a good thing, but it's a necessary evil. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately. Some people just thoroughly believe that everything is about them. There with. Some people just are determined to make everything about them, and those people should not be rewarded in public society. Eric says, could you see Dom getting a special entrance? Well, he's no longer prison bitch Dom, so hard to say. Ugh, awful Fiend, awful. Sean says, do you think Jay will get involved? No, personally I think Jacob's going to look pretty isolated. It'll just be Jimmy. Though it would be fun if Jay and Roman were indeed involved here. There's options. There's options. So I said, I'd like to think this won't be an overbooked mess considering what's likely to follow in the main event, but I doubt I'm right. I'm pretty certain this is going to be a mess, just like I was pretty certain the Wyatt 6 involvement was going to be messy. But, can I just say, MFT? Motherfucking top. Anyway. Do apologise. But what I will say, I expected overbooking in the Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill match. And then Jade Cargill got bossed. Kevin says, 91, what was the weak match? There were many weak matches. I think the weakest was probably Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross was not good. He just wasn't. No, Sean, that wasn't a heel turn for Bayley. It was an accident. Solo Sikoa starting the match coming down on his own. Joey says, I'm kind of surprised Don and AJ are co-main eventing over this. To be fair, Joey, there's no such thing as a co-main event. It's a ridiculous concept WWE have designed, with the idea being that everything's a main event, everything's main event worthy. We're all incredible. There's no such thing as a co-main event. They've put it there so people can have a lull before they get to the main event. Because you know you're not going to see any high-flying work from John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Yeah, it surprised me there, Kevin. It surprised me. I might have to go and get some more lozenges, at which point I'll dip out for a moment. But, you know, we do what we can. We do what we can. I'm probably actually going to do that. I think that's a good idea. Just pop out, grab a couple of more lozenges to help my throat, and then return. I won't be a second, guys. I'm just going to go dark for a moment, and I'll see you in a second. It's me, it's TDC. Hello, everyone. Told you I wouldn't be long. And indeed I was not. Still in time to see the werewolf mask. And I've got myself some Hall Soothers. No sponsors. We'll see how it goes. Just really want the opportunity to look after myself a little bit. I think by and large the sickness is passing. But it's difficult when I do spend a lot of time talking. It really does strain the voice, especially when the lights are on. It's quite hot, it dries my throat out, it doesn't help the situation. But I have sweets, and they do a help. Where was I? Hector says, do you happen to know why it took WWE and Jacob Fatu so long to get him signed? because he hasn't always been considered reliable. That's all I'll say. John says, do you think we'll get blood in this match? No, not really. I don't think we'll go particularly hardcore. I think we'll go hard hitting instead. Fiend says, I don't think Bayley is going fully heel yet. I agree. And Eric says, unfortunately, I feel like last night ended the parental. No, the cross push. He's over, but unfortunately, he's not going to be the guy. Is he over? I don't think he was over last night. Fiend says, I like Cross, but I think it's over, and I think his deal is going to be expiring. Oh, Mike, I'm technically a Daniel. TDC? I just wanted to make a DDP reference. Don't we all? Don't we all? I will say Jacob Fatu is a very unique style. Very unique style. And plays it really well. You wouldn't expect his build to be as athletic as he is, which works out very well for him. Oh, we're doing headbutts now. Just a lot of headbutts. Fiend says Cross didn't get that loud of a reception. There were people cheering for him, but they weren't being overwhelmingly cheered. No, I mean, there were people there who liked him. It wasn't enough. Which basically describes his entire WWE career. There were people who liked him. Not enough. It's annoying, Sean. I won't say it's the worst ever. It's annoying. But given time, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's definitely a lot better than it was a few days ago. First real use of the cage there. I'm not sure how this is going to go because there is definitely very different styles between the two. Fiend says people still think there's a chance Brock comes back. I can't wait till WWE removes him off the site and puts him in alumni. He's still technically under contract. I can't imagine a world in which WWE ever want to bring him back. I would be extremely surprised. That's all I'll say. Mike says Fatu, the coolest star in the WWE in my opinion. Certainly he's got people very keen. Made a very strong impression. Bailey says, where is Ron Killings? At home. At home. So far, Solo's doing sort of the boring grunt work, throwing people into cages. Jacob Fatu's getting the more exciting stuff. Standard face versus heel. Fiend, you already know my thoughts on this. If Cena keeps the title till the end of the year, I would be having Jacob Fatu be the one dethrone him. That's what I would be doing. Not quite, Dan, though I can see what you're seeing. Sai has created us a overlay designed around my personal favourite PLE, the first one I ever watched, which was SummerSlam 1998. I was talking about Doom today. I was talking about my first time playing Doom. I was very young. The person who let me use her PC had it on floppy disk, which will very much date me for most of you. Highway to Hell indeed. Yeah. And I remember playing it and getting through to what I've learned since was the end of the first sort of stage. It was 3 stages, I think it was. And I remember because I got through everything and there was these 2 big demons throwing stuff at me and like a poison floor, and I was like, okay, this is insane. This game's amazing. And it's the first point in the game I actually died. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll reload and I'll go again. But when I loaded again, I had gone back automatically to the basic gun, the pistol. I'd lost all of my other weapons, which meant against the two big bosses, I had no chance at all. None whatsoever. Also, I'm pretty sure I was like 6. So, yeah, games are in the blood. I'm still annoyed by that, and I still have not completed Doom. Played a lot of 64 though. I think I've played some of them. I technically own them. I've downloaded them with my PSN. But they require you to sign on to something, and that just confused me. So I've never really got around to doing it. Lately I've been playing mostly Diablo. I'm trying to give myself a reason to go back to play Diablo 2 again. Diablo 4's okay, but 2's still where it's at. I think it's telling that we're having this discussion right now. Nothing much has happened in the actual match, which is a shame. It's been good so far, but Jacob Fatu can't do this on charisma alone. Dan says, OG Doom is pretty much the only game I play to this day. There's the odd game of Sonic, as long as it's side-scroller Sonic, and maybe something like Karushi or similar mind puzzle games, but that's it. I do consider myself something more of like the classic arcade gamer. I loved those Sonic games. My entirety of college was spent on getting Supersonic in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and then getting Hypersonic in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I just did that again and again and again. And, to be clear, spent some time with a friend over this weekend, someone I've not seen in about 15 years. Had a bit of a health scare recently, it's made him reach out to people, so we've been spending some time together. I remember a time back in college, sort of the golden era of our friendship group, when we were playing Streets of Rage on a keyboard. It was on a ROM. He was playing on one side of the keyboard. That was a lovely moonsault right there. That's some tempo getting going. And he was playing on one side of the keyboard and I was playing on the other. We were doing really well. And I think I lucked out and ended up with 1 life more than him going into the final section. And for those that don't know, when you get to the final stage in Streets of Rage, it's a boss rush. And then you meet the big boss. And he tries to convince you to swap sides. And there's a different ending where you're now the big evil. And I said no. And he said yes. And when you're playing it co-op and you disagree in that section, it means you have to fight. And by the time I'd finished beating him up, I no longer had enough health to win the game. It was certainly setting a narrative. Are we already at the point of overbooking? I feel like this match has barely started. And there's already bodies everywhere. I swear he was about to hit the camera. I know he's supposed to say Talatonga. I'm not going to. I'm going to say Talatonga because he's the taller one. Dan says Sonic and Knuckles doesn't get the hype it deserves. Kevin says, do you know Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles should have been one game? I do, actually. It was a unique cartridge that I really quite enjoyed. Dan says, the boss rush is great. I have played every Streets of Rage so far. I really like it as a concept. I, at some point, wrote a GTA style the variant of Streets of Rage, which was also quite heavily built around one of the PlayStation Spider-Man games, where you had your main 3 characters. They all had their own personal arcs, but there was also gangs and you could break down the gangs. And the order in which you broke down the gangs changed the intended ending. Did a whole thing. In the end, I realised I was going too hard in that I kind of made Axel very unlikable. But anyway, moving on from that. Played a lot of Streets of Rage. The level before the boss rush, you're in an elevator. I spent so long just throwing people off the elevator. I started to actually think I have a problem. And now I want to play Streets of Rage. My download total's 4. Hector says, I wonder if we'll see a Jacob moonsault from the top of the cage. That would be a sight to see. To be fair, I think we've got to too many bodies relatively early. So I think there's still time for a couple of big spots. Erin says, will this basically be Bloodline rules? Bloodline rules basically is no DQ. There's no real difference there. Yes, down the plug-in cartridge. I remember playing a lot of Sonic 2 as Knuckles. For a while I was a Knuckles main. Which sounds like masturbation, but it's not. A Knuckles main. Okay, that's interesting. They're using handcuffs when they just did the ties in the previous match. It does feel like maybe there's a bit of an overlap there they could have spoken about, or at least broken those matches up. Dan says, there's a platform in the corner for standing on, so something like the moonsault is happening, I guess. They've got them in every corner and they are slanted down. So is Jimmy Uso back? Is this a Tamatonga moment? Did he just rip? Yeah, he just ripped it. He just ripped it. What I'm not understanding is why no one else has got into the cage. You can just climb into the cage. One of the most baffling things about wrestling in general is when people can't decide whether or not they're bad guys, you know? I get that the whole point of a good heel is that they believe in what they're saying. But if you're going to cheat, just cheat. It's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed the triple threat between... Oh, Solo's out. Solo wins. Between Edge, Daniel Bryan and Roman. Because within about 20 seconds of the match starting, Jey Uso was beating the ever-living crap out of Edge. If you're going to cheat, just cheat. Just cheat. Hector says, fun fact, I named my cat Sonic and Knuckles because that was one of the first games I played as a kid. Yeah, it's true. We've been speaking about this, Dan. The choice of matches for night 1 and night 2 has been awkward. Putting 3 very similar tag team matches on one side, which essentially just amounted to build to a hot tag, build to a hot tag, build to a hot tag. And then you get to the second night and it's hardcore stipulation, hardcore stipulation, hardcore stipulation. Like, you're putting a lot of pressure onto your performers there. Eric says, sourced by WrestleOps, thank you for sourcing. A fight broke out in the stands. Is that during the last match? Because it got awkward during the last match. People were not paying attention. Bailey says, CM Punk asked at one of the media events when there will be a Royal Rumble for all the Samoans. There are a few. Jimmy Uso still wants to kick people. I respect it. Looks like there's just more to do. I wouldn't go as far as terrible, Sean. I don't think it was necessarily good. I don't think there's anything really memorable there. I would imagine the whole breaking the handcuffs was supposed to be a bigger moment. Fiend also mentioning it. Kevin says, right decision, you cannot take the title off Solo already. Let the man have a good title reign. Bailey gives it a 5 out of 10, says weakest match of the night. I agree with that. I think they're giving you something a little extra afterwards. I think the moonsault is actually still going. You've just seen the platform. So I think it was still crisp, but there's nothing really memorable here. The match was relatively short. And yet that. Always worry about something like that when you come down ankle first. It was the right rotation, the catch wasn't great. That's 4 for 4 so far. I am still of the opinion that no titles change hands. At the time I thought that's going to be a bit out there, but the more I watch, the less out there it feels. Also, was there a reason that Tola Tonga decided, yeah, just leave him in the cage? Don't matter. They're just up on the ramp watching. Jordan says 6 out of 10, weak finish to the match. Joey says that ending felt really flat. Again, it just comes down to the numbers game. We were expecting the numbers to pay off, and it was underwhelming the way in which they played it. Fair play, Kevin. Hector says, I hope this helps push Jacob up the card, especially if Cena retains tonight. I'm still on board with Jacob retiring Cena. Like, if I was booking, that's where I lean, personally. I don't know how we get there within 4 months. Right, why not? Joey says, what does Tola Tonga even do? He basically can get things from tall shelves. You know how in Beauty and the Beast and films like that, you get libraries, which are so big you need a ladder to go all the way around it. Tola Tonga's the ladder. Marcel gives it a 6. Fiend says we have 2 matches left. Bailey says this may be the last PLE for quite a while where either Stephanie Vaca or Julia won't appear. Stephanie Vaca is going to be a focus going forwards. For Julia, Zelina Vega's doing her a lot of favours right now. So it says 5 for me, nothing really in it. And Fiend quite rightly says this is a Tola Tongan. So I've had a check ready for Clash in Paris. It starts at 6 PM here in the UK. I will be live for it in its entirety. Hopefully many of you can join me. I know that those based in the US might find it a bit more difficult. Yes, we will be live beginning of next month for Clash in Paris. Kevin says Tonga versus Omos, what a match. WrestleMania. Sean thinks Cody is going to win because no titles have changed hands yet. Oh, we have AAA representation. Mr. Iguana continues to be the most well-received person the AAA have sent WWE's way yet. I briefly thought I was looking at Kermit the Frog. Fiend says I think AJ is going to win. Well, we're going to find out. It is the Intercontinental Championship. Defended by Dominik, challenged by AJ Styles. Joey says, which wrestlers do you think work Triple Mania? At the moment, the only ones I'm aware of are Dominik and El Grande Americano. Dan says, what was the opening match again? It was the triple threat, Naomi defending against both Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. It was also quite fun. Very much enjoyed it. Hector says, did Julio actually do anything of significance in New Japan or not? I didn't watch, but I feel like it wasn't much different than now. He's just a tall monster type character. This is an interesting one. As many of you will know, I watched New Japan semi-religiously for quite a long time. I remember going down to watch in London. And I think it was Royal Quest 2. I remember because I had the most awkward fist bump / handshake that it is possible to have with a man with no neck. awkward. So at that show is where I first saw Hikuleo, because he was teaming with Tama Tonga because Tonga Loa was injured. And I think that's kind of it. Like, I think that's the story. That's who Hikuleo is. He's the guy who filled in when Tonga Loa was injured. And then he joined WWE. It didn't make a lot of sense then. It makes even less sense now. But we are where we are. Oh, sigh, they might have given me the time for the pre-show then. I'll be live from 6 PM either way. Kevin, depends on personal preference, just to be clear. I don't want to sit here and just say which match was the worst of all, but I will say I enjoyed Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross least so far. Dan says, I watched it, really enjoyed it, just couldn't remember what opened. Then it went into 3 matches of outside interference on the trot. How we got a Judgment Day match. Now we've got a Judgment Day match, maybe 4 in a row. Certainly possible, though there doesn't seem to have been much Finn Balor. Suggestion possibly that Balor versus AJ Styles is where we go next, so it could still work out. So I mentioned earlier, Triple H is really leaning into the dodgy finishes nowadays. And it's amazing how similar a lot of these are. When you consider as well that we had the handcuffs and the hand ties. We had the overwhelming numbers from Wyatt 6 and the overwhelming numbers from this version of the Bloodline. It's getting really repetitive. Yeah, Fiend, that is the perfect description. Tolo Tonga is just a replacement Tongan. He's a backup Tongan. He's a spare Tongan. Much like I am a stepdad or a spare dad. Dan, as regards House of Torture or Evil Dick Incorporated, I really do enjoy their theme. Though as a Sonic fan, Tetsuya Naito has still got my heart. If you haven't heard that, check it out. Hector says, AJ, some of the best comedic timing has been hilarious in this build. I would say someone working in TNA has sort of automatically developed the comedic chops. Part of the training there is a lot closer to like ballet, where you've got to pitch your face to the person at the back of the crowd. And they play for the crowd a little bit more than they play for the cameras. WWE basically ignores the crowd and just plays for the cameras. Joey says WWE is really featuring Mr. Iguana a lot. He is. The fans responded, and Triple H is now going to feature him until they stop responding. I remember reports way back when, something must have changed, that Dominik Mysterio was going to start wrestling in a mask. So every time he wears a mask, I'm like, is this the day? The answer is always no. Why would you hide that mustache? It's a work of art. Wait, what? His name is Long Skeleton. I'm very confused. Also, it's still on screen. Right. Okay, so I've said this before. In the UK broadcast, they are definitely muting Michael Cole every time he announces anything sponsor related. The Intercontinental Championship has changed hands 16 times since SummerSlam. 16 times? What happened there? SummerSlam's a bit of a special one for Dominik Mysterio. He debuted on SummerSlam. I think he might have won the tag titles at SummerSlam. I was not big enough pop for AJ Styles. How dare you? It said 16 times, Joe. So, If the champion comes out first, you know they've got something special for the challenger. They've been really into their cars for a long time when it comes to the intros. I wonder if it's real glass. I am just very curious as to why any of this is happening. I get why they're saying it's happening. I don't get why they made the choice that it should happen. Style, see, I respect. Welcome, noob, you're right, man. Sai says, I could see Ray handing Dominik his mask when he retires. I don't think he would necessarily wear it, but they fought over it before. Fiend not loving the work of the audience. And Joey says, I wish AJ came out to his TNA theme. Didn't they change AJ's theme for a very brief amount of time and then he just went back again? Eric says, is Dominik about to take over AAA? I've got Uncle AJ. Uncle Al's Used Car Emporium. I went back and watched Southpaw again a while back. I just really enjoy that sort of humour. Hector says, AJ with Eddie inspired gear is definitely something different. They did know each other briefly, but they did know each other back in the WCW days. At the end times when Air Styles debuted. AJ was really excited to work with Eddie. Like, Eddie had already moved on, but he still had a lot of contact at that time. I do get the feeling we're heading into an hour-long main event. Sean can see AJ winning. Personally, I stand by it. You all know my predictions. My predictions are 0 championship changes. We're 4 for 4 so far. Bailey says, when WrestleMania 35 was at this stadium, there were 4 pre-show matches and 16 overall. 2 nights is much better. I agree. 12 matches is solid, 6 per night. Like, we might get a long main event, but I'm not going to feel too aggrieved by it because the show isn't 7 hours long. Remember watching Roman versus Undertaker as the sun rose and an hour later I had to go to work. That wasn't great, but to be fair, it was better than the year before when I had to watch Triple H versus Roman Reigns and then go to work. The Undertaker match was at least better than that. I'm old school. I still get confused when Triple H has, like, no hair. Hector says an AJ versus Eddie feud would have been something special. They both could go in the ring and on the mic. Sean says if Cody doesn't win that title back tonight, I will cry. Well, then you may end tonight crying. Oh, lovely. Lovely from Dominik. As we were saying during the triple threat, the wrestlers that are going to get pushed are the ones that develop and innovate during their career. When a wrestler has their moveset and the moveset never changes or evolves, that's never going to be good enough. Good catch, AJ. That ended up looking like more of a hip toss because of the good catch. That's not going to result in you getting pushed. That's not going to result in your career resulting in championships and so on. It was one of the issues that WWE had with Naomi. She got a bit stuck going through the same patterns. And whereas now she very much hasn't. A lot of love was given to John Cena when he would elevate. I've mentioned in this chat a couple of hours ago that for a while John Cena was doing a Cody cutter. He genuinely was. It was closer to a stunner because he landed on his arse, but it was a Cody cutter. Innovation is important. So I like how clever Dominik is. That he'll adapt to his opponent, and most of his offense is based on speed, based on being underhand. He's just a natural heel. He's incredibly good at it. When it comes to AJ, what I found interesting about him, when he first came over, he seemed innovative because of a lot of the moves he uses not making it over the pond. There's a couple of moves he has from Hiroki Goto, for example, that nobody else has really recognised. He continued, and there was a couple of... There was one move, which was it's basically a backward suplex, which he only ever took from Dean Ambrose. Only person who ever did it to him, and I loved that move. He'd be picked up for a suplex, and then he'd be thrown from underneath, and it just did not make sense. And I loved it. AJ's one of those who continues to innovate even now, even though I do feel like his career's kind of winding down. Joey says, I remember Mania 34 was over 5 hours. Far too long. Far too long. Joey says, do you think the main event will be any better than the Mania one? I think it has to be. I think the Mania main event was not good at all. Joey says, maybe that's what's holding Cross back. He works a very basic ring style. He does, and I feel the match against Sami Zayn kind of further proved it. That's a Hiroki Goto move. Well, that was a typo and a half, Joey. Hector says, the only exceptions to not having an extensive moveset or changing yours up, sadly, is Hogan and Cena. They're both highly successful about being innovative in the ring. John Cena was innovative in the ring. The idea that he only ever had 5 moves of doom simply isn't true. He brought something new to his arsenal. He tried to learn something new as often as he could. Like I've been mentioning the Cody cutter, which he was doing for a while, but that's not the only thing that he developed. He did change and he did evolve. Hogan didn't. We know that. But to be fair, that there is a time and a place. Steve Austin never really developed his in-ring style after his injuries because he couldn't. He couldn't. But also, that's not what the fans wanted at the time. What fans wanted from Hulk Hogan was the same thing week in, week out. We knew he was actually a very good and very talented and very varied wrestler. He had all of the capability. He also recognised that for the audience he was working with, he wasn't worth it. Crowd are very much into hating Dominik now. He's holding his own so far. Eric says, I'm confused. Why did AJ get the lowrider? Something, Eddie Guerrero, something. Once again, there's overlap in matches because Andrade and Rey Fénix also did the Three Amigos. You don't see enough brainbusters anymore. One sponsor I don't hate so far, when someone gets hit with a brainbuster and then the camera basically looks at the part and just says harder. It's Dominik Mysterio. Bust his skull harder. Sorry, bust his brain. The skull buster is a very different move. A relatively strong Dirty Dom chant packing up. Decent drop kick. We also had a 619 from Io Sky earlier. I feel like people aren't coordinating enough. That was a flying nothing and a half. I don't think Dominik landed where he should have done. And I don't think he covered his flying nothing very well. Also, he can definitely reach that rope. Come on, man. Let's not be silly. Let's not be silly. Yeah, Dominik definitely landed in the wrong spot. AJ's feeling that. I feel like we're having dueling Dirty Dom chants. Oof. Nobody sells like AJ. He just commits to eating shit. Hector says, my favourite sponsor was having the American insurance company, The General, highly featured during the Ring Generals match. Like, I'm just glad to see less Prime, if I'm honest. Wade Barrett essentially having to explain disqualifications to us again. Because they've seen so much risk of them. Okay, AJ twitching his leg as well. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to ignore that. Got a big pop though. Very close to actually matching a spot from All In, the match between MJF and Adam Cole. Inappropriate Wade. Bailey says, will there be any French sponsors at Clash in Paris? Or is WWE just left with US sponsors that have no meaning elsewhere? Well, I mean, if US sponsors want to pay the money and try and expand into the French market, why not? But I'm sure there will be a few Parisian sponsors keen on getting involved as well. It does feel like there's something missing here. Oh, that's why he unzipped his boot. That's why he unzipped his boot. Okay. He's trying to pull the boot off because that was the spot. But he was struggling to get the boot off there. Nearly a ref bump, not quite. I'm hoping there's going to be more to this match. Takes the splash. I feel like the Becky and Lyra match went long. I feel like the Becky and Lyra match went long and they're trying desperately to get back on track. Match is over, Eric. Yeah, I feel like this match and the last match lost some time. Jordan gives it a 6 out of 10. Bailey gives it a 5. I personally would go 6.5, a little higher, more towards a 7. I think the offense was good. Some of the spots were interesting, got decent pops. But not enough. Just in all directions, just not quite enough going on there. Fiend wanted AJ to win. Eric says, who won? Dominik. So once again, for a 5th match in a row, no championship change hands. He didn't unzip it enough, that's why. Yeah. The last 2 matches have not been great. They've still been okay. They've still been serviceable. The cage match not quite as good. With talent like Dominik and AJ, you really should be keeping it interesting regardless. But I I just feel like they've had time cut. I could be wrong. I hope I am, but I feel like Becky and Lyra went over, and the next 2 matches have suffered for it. But next up is going to be our main event. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. The show started brilliantly. The last 2 matches have let it down a little bit, but we're still in a much better position than we were this time last night, where we were hoping and relying on the main event to sort of rescue a bit of a drab show. It did. I mean, they mentioned War Games, but they didn't say Survivor Series War Games San Diego. Interesting. I'll be interested if that's also a 2-nighter. Oh, LFG still a thing. Hector says, I wonder if Cena will go full face, if you will, for his entrance and ditch the black and white Tron to sell that the old Cena is back. I mean, we're going to find out. We found out in very short order. I don't buy it for a second. P says, not a lot good tonight. I disagree. I think the first 3 matches were very, very good. Joey says, I hope they aren't cutting time for another boring main event. Cena versus Cody has not exactly delivered so far. And now we're just advertising Cody vodka. Erin says, I feel like Dom is going to be double champ and win the triple triple A championship. And Erin says, they did file King of the Luchadors a while back, I believe I remember hearing. To be fair, that could be him. That could be El Grande Americano, who, as we know, is historically one of the greatest to ever do it. Personally, I really enjoyed his time in Lucha Underground. Mary doesn't see the hype in Dom. I think that's kind of what they're going for. You're supposed to hate him, and that does work out well, because he's lovely and despicable. Whereas in-ring, he's still solid, he is still learning. Stephanie McMahon is out to announce the attendance. Meanwhile, there's a sign behind her for Cornette. Awkward. John says, Cody heel turn incoming. The Rock will come back and help Cody. So far, all reports that we've seen about the main event are something might happen during the main event. And we know they're keeping quiet about the main event, which is, of course, hiding the fact that they don't know what's going to happen in the main event. Just to be clear, it is not a combined attendance of 113,722. Many of those people were there both nights. Erin says, I love how Dom says he's a 20-year vet. Hector says they consider Stephanie a WWE icon. Interesting choice of words. And Mary says, I think Cena isn't face. I wholeheartedly agree. So far, no championships changed hands. I'm 5 for 5. I thought I saw Enzo Amore in the crowd, but he's just a really well-bearded guy. Bailey says WWE always makes up the final number. Okay, so we're getting a recap of TLC now in different languages. I do like that Dexter Lumis had to lean back in order to actually impact as he was trying to. They missed the table. They cleared it entirely. She put her knee down. Okay, you know, I'm actually not upset by this. Having actually watched it, it's just carnage. It's just fun. Once again, SummerSlam post-show does not feature any of the wrestlers who wrestled at the show. Like, without the wrestlers involved, are you expecting people to tune in? Military spotlight. Really pushing this whole seat upgrade business, aren't they? Oh no, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. You can't see him. Decent pop there for both men. The street fight. We're talking about different songs. I mean, John Cena still comes down to his same babyface theme. If the intention is to outdo the night before, they've got some work to do. They've got quite a bit of work to do. Because last night you didn't just have Gunther versus Punk, you also had Seth Rollins involved. You're not going to get that a second time. It does not feel like 4 months ago. It feels like an age ago. Okay, Eric, I don't know where that came from, but you're welcome to it. Hector says, if Big E retired... With Big E retired now, to your knowledge, is he just doing post-show stuff, or is he involved in maybe coaching or things backstage? He's largely just doing on-camera work now. There hasn't been much talk about coaching. There is still a hope that he will be coming back. He's been medically retired and he has some work to do in order to get there. His intention is to return to the ring. There are no guarantees of any potential success, so WWE are ensuring that he still gets a paycheck. They're all pretty happy with his work. Sean says, how's your Sunday been? Mine was good. It was my Friday at work. I have the next 3 off. Oh, enjoy, mate. My Sunday's been good. Been catching up with a friend who's going through a bit of a hard time at the minute. Technically, medically died for a bit. And then thankfully was revived. So we're basically just trying to shake him by the tail feathers and say, hey, maybe don't do that. Haven't seen him in about 15 years. So it's nice to get an opportunity to actually catch up. Having The Rock appear in this vignette is the closest thing we've had to an appearance for a long time. Bailey says Big E's very good in front of a camera and could get jobs outside of wrestling, but the lure of the ring is always something for these performers. You don't get to WWE if you don't love this. Every wrestler I've ever met loves this. The amount of risk they put themselves at purely to do this, to entertain people. There is no conversation of, oh, I could do something easier. I could do this. I could do that. Their only dream is this for many of them. Yeah, Big E doesn't seem to be any different there. I'm waiting for Cena's faux face turn to pop up. Nothing? Nothing at all. Now, I'm interested here how the street fight is going to play out. I'd imagine they're going to fight through the crowd at some point, but they need to make it different. And I think overall, that is not something that WWE has succeeded at tonight. Or in fact, this weekend. There's been a lot of same but different. There's been a lot of interference. There's been a lot of build to hot tags. There's been a lot of same but different. And they've got some work to do. The camera angle is sort of giving away who's getting the entrance here. Hector says, seeing Cody wrestling with a torn pec is still a sight to see, no matter how long it's been. That bruising was gnarly. The man put himself under immense physical pressure. He put himself into a situation which undoubtedly felt like torture because he loves this. I can't do what they do. I cannot do what they do. Maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe I'm not brave enough. I can't do what they do. John says, do you think we'll get blood? I find it less likely now that we had blood yesterday. Terrible camera angle, guys. Yes, Fiend, it was. Fiend also says, if I'm WWE, I'm doing a major reset for most of the creative, except for some stuff like Seth and his faction. I do think they need the shake-up. They do need a draft. They do need to make some changes. They've just... I feel like between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, a lot of the feuds have fallen into a rut. A lot of them have got very repetitive. A lot of them have a lot of rematches in them. We don't need that. It's become less interesting, and I feel like in many ways this happens every year. They're waiting until after SummerSlam to start moving towards their planned WrestleMania feuds. That's going to be made awkward by John Cena, who's not going to be at WrestleMania. As I say, the WWE have tried to convince him. It doesn't seem to be working. So they're going to need to sort of do a last minute pivot to whatever it is they plan to have at WrestleMania. Who's the obvious person? Well, you can't just think of the obvious person to win the championship from him. You also need an obvious challenger. So it needs to be satisfying, and then also satisfying to see someone win the Royal Rumble afterwards. Let's say, for example, Gunther is the one to eventually beat John Cena. Well, then let's have Sami Zayn win the Royal Rumble, and at WrestleMania we can have a rematch of Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Would all of that in combination be satisfying? Personally, I think yes, it would. Let's say Jacob Fatu is the one to pick up the win. And then who wins the Royal Rumble? That becomes more difficult. How about Roman? How about Roman wins the Rumble, fights Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, and loses? There are options. But you have to tie the challenger to whoever wins the championship. Fiend says, I can't say I blame Cena for not wanting to extend. He did say 41 with his last Mania. Yeah, I'm not blaming him, just to be clear on this. I'm just reporting on what's going on backstage. Fiend says, is there any truth to Gunther being injured and getting surgery? I've not heard that myself. And Hector says, Cody really does love his pyro. He does. He does. He's one of the only wrestlers who actually spent quite a lot of his own money on pyro. He just really likes pyro. The challenger is here. Interesting, Fiend. Again, I've not seen that, so we'll find out. Oh god, so many people just holding their phones. That is depressing. Big chant for Cena. Briefly a CM Punk chant. Still all in black. I don't get the play. There's undoubtedly a reason for this, but I don't get the play. I get why he'd want to detach from The Rock. The connection with The Rock definitely didn't work long term. So I get why he'd want to detach from that, but you chose to go heel. This doesn't help Cody. Because Cody's still got to try and beat him for this. Indeed, Fiend. Rickan says the best match of the night so far was the tag team. Do you mean the TLC? Also says I think I'll find out in the end what's the play, but this seems fishy. It does, doesn't it? And you're right, we will find out by the end, and that's the only way to really do it. I do find it interesting they've just done his record against Cody and it's 4-0. Cody does not beat Cena. Just caught Michael Cole having a little bop. The man's enjoying his life. So this has now become face versus face, but momentum is on Cena's side. This does not help Cody. I think they've opened a door for that, Rickan. As I mentioned, The Rock wanted Cody to be heel all the way. Hector says, in hindsight, knowing where we are, was it the right move to turn Cody heel? Turn Cena. Pardon me. Booze. There it is. There it is. This does not help Cody. Which they have to know. They must know. Is it the right move to turn Cena heel and have him win the title, or would you have gone a different direction? I would always have gone a different direction. Personally. Sean says Cena is up to something. Fiend said if Cody falls for Cena's shenanigans again, it's bad creative. Aaron also pointing out booze for Cody. Sean saying Cody's going to win, don't burst my bubble. Rickan says Cody getting booed, turning Cena babyface kind of messed up Cody, which is exactly what I've been saying. At the end of this, there's going to be a heel. One way or the other, at the end of this, there's going to be a heel. Fiend says booze for Cody. Oh boy, is Cody going to work heel? He worked heel during the Randy match. So I said my prediction is Cena's last match is against Rock, and tonight kicks that off. So it's guesswork. And Sean says Cody turning face and Cody turning face and Cody turning heel. Guessing you were going for Cena in that first bit. They're definitely creating a context by which Cody could turn heel here. Definitely a lot of intrigue. And if you're signed up and spending money on the paywalls, what you'll find out is that they're being very quiet about this. And that's an exclusive. Not impossible, Bailey, but I don't see it. That said, I didn't see a lot of this coming. They've definitely made some very late, very last minute decisions. Very Vince McMahon style. I don't understand what's happening right now. Okay. Okay. Thinks it's Cody having a double turn himself. Rick answers, hope we get Homelander Cody if he does go with a double turn. The options are right there, I feel. But Trump might not like it because of the tattoo. Joey says, was this Cena face turn always planned? Again, I don't even know if it's a face turn. You're asking the wrong guy. Hector says, if The Rock does get his wish and Cody does turn heel, I'm excited for the weird Raw promo we're bound to get when nothing The Rock says will make sense. When's the last time The Rock did make sense? A lot of the, you know, the great promos he made never made any sense. I think the crowd are just going to get a little confused here. They've already decided who they wanted to push. Vince says they can't see Cody being heel for that long. I also think it's worth pointing out, Cody's going to go film. Cody's got some stuff to record. So he's going to be off screen for a bit. If he's off screen, then for example, if he does turn heel, he's going to lose momentum. Rick answers the ending is going to be huge. You don't just randomly turn Cena babyface. Bailey says all the great Rock promos are 20 or more years old. Very true. Joey says at least this match is starting faster this time. The street fight is designed to ensure that it's a bit of a better match than it was last time. It should work very well. The steps in the middle of the ring is very Cena Lesnar. Fiend says it's a shame Cena is beat up. He's doing his best. He's not what he was, admittedly, but he's doing his best. Cena ready to dodge something here. Hector says if Cody turns heel, I hope we get him with that weird jet black hair he had when he was briefly heel in AEW. Sean says, will Cena be at WrestleMania? Not out of this plan. Joey says, maybe Cena saved all his energy for this match. Just this one? I do think it's worth pointing out, both of these men are about to take time off. Both of these men are about to start doing things that they think are more important. They're off to make money. They're off to build their name. They're off to build their fortune. They both arguably should be considered the heel here. Rickan says if Cena is truly babyface, which I don't think so, but then a heel will probably end the night in the ring with Cena showing Cena's next challenger, maybe a return or something. I don't know. Until we get to the finish, none of us have a clue. Bailey says if both are taking a break, then WWE needs a new star to debut. They absolutely do not need a new star to debut. There are plenty of people who could fill that void. Plenty of people. They just need to use them. I think we have some fans trying to show support for Cody. It's not quite catching. Bless him for trying. Well, no worries, Billy. Don't you worry about it. I try my best to connect. Rickon says, I wonder who could be seen as next challenger. I don't think it's going to be an obvious choice because it will be a little while again. And at the moment, he's only wrestling the top names. So potentially Roman. When Roman's ready to return. The crowd just come across a little confused. And I get that, because I'm coming across a little confused on the basis of my confusion. And given that it's a street fight, I'm expecting there to be tables. there was a crutch. Do you reckon there'll be vodka? Do you reckon they'll try and do a prime spot? We've got chairs again. They're trying to get the Cody cheer going again. They both got chairs. They're going to have drama. Joey doesn't know who to cheer for. I will say as well, I think that's another mark of Triple H booking. You're never quite sure where people are. You're going to do a lightsaber fight? Yeah, you're going to do a lightsaber fight, aren't you? Rickon says, would be nice if it was a fresh new challenger, not a big name. It seems like Cena's just not very interested in that. Maybe it'll be Joe Hendry. Cena believes. Erin says, I mean, if Cody turned heel and wins, disappearing with the championship for a bit is a thing they have done before. Sadly, yes. It's a thing they've done a lot before. It's a thing that Brock used to do all the time. Hector says, after tonight, Cena is down to 12 dates left, but only being August. I'm interested to see how they use those dates. Rickon says, imagine Cena wins and we hear Henry's theme at the end. Mark Henry, or are you saying Joe Hendry? The D in that. Always remember to put the D in that. Oh, we're doing a 5 moves to doom. John, you're undermining my point. Why would anyone try for the clothesline? Why would anyone try for the clothesline? Once he gives you the 2 shoulder barges, kick him in the groin. The crowd are giving Cena a bit of a coming out party, to be honest. Are we going to get our first kick out of the AA? Oh, no. Boos are picking up again. I feel like the fans have kind of made their decision here. Doesn't really matter what you do next, John. Oh, Cody, I should say. Doesn't really matter what you do next, Cody. Oh, he bites his lip when he does that. Interesting. For free, welcome. Says the crowd is forcing Cody to work heel, and if that is audible or if they planned it because they knew Cena was going to be the crowd favourite. I think after that promo, you kind of have to assume that you're going to get Cody booed. You have to. Bean says Carmelo Hayes is teasing going after the Intercontinental Championship. If it's on social media, do not trust it. That's the individual, not the wrestler. Typically that means the company hasn't agreed to it. That was not a crossbody. That was a full rotation moonsault. Yeah, you know you did that wrong. You know you did that wrong. Kicked him in the head. Go for another cutter. Oh no, that's a kick. I always forget that he does that. Does both of them. Yeah, I can't blame him for that, Fiend. A lot of wrestlers do that. And Becky Lynch did that for a long time, except not subtly. She made it very clear what was about to happen. Fiend, as you know my opinion on this. Fuck Tyler Bate. I stand by it. Oh, no. Oh, no, he got another Cody cutter. From a slightly different elevation. Apologies, guys, but it is 10 past 2 in the morning. Fiend says something seems off with this match and I can't put my finger on it. It's the lack of heel. it's very much the lack of heel. It's creating attention because people don't know if they should boo Cody. So they're going with what they kind of want to boo Cody. It's a bit awkward. Doing pile drivers? We're doing pile drivers? We're doing pile drivers. John Cena loves taking a pile driver, doesn't he? Cody doing the band moves. Is that face or is that heel? Because that's technically getting a pop. Cena was fully in control there. Fully in control. Cody does seem to be showing some heel cracks. Fénix says, did Cody tell him I want to give you a pile driver, John, like CM Punk all those years ago? Probably not. The most likely scenario was John Cena in the middle of a match going, Cody, just like pile drive me. Just do it. Just it'll be funny. Do it. Just do it. Because it is still technically a banned move. But when John Cena says pile drive me, you're probably going to pile drive him. You are going to drive that pile exactly where it needs to be driven. We're going to do another AA. Oh, the slow release AA. Haven't seen that in a while. The match is definitely a lot better than the one at WrestleMania. Cena seems to have regained a bit of fitness, which has increased the tempo. The element of confusion certainly hasn't ruined anything. Fénix says, I like that WWE does occasionally let those moves be used. It makes them feel special and actually dangerous. It's not the WWE that allow it. It's the wrestlers deciding they're going to do it anyway. Typically, if you're in the main event spot, you go backstage, Triple H is still going to tell you off, but he can't exactly drop you out of the main event. Especially if you're going off to film a movie. There's some air there. Gonna boo? Still an element of mixed response to Cody, but more boos than not. Cena's always been loud, Fiend. Always. The difficulty is Triple H can't really tell him off because Triple H always been loud. Decent reversal. Fénix says, could they theoretically use a cage if they wanted? I mean, everything's theoretical. Hector says, when it comes to Cody possibly taking time off, Fightful recently reported filming for Street Fighter isn't expected till September, and Cody isn't expected to be on set long, the report states. Well, I mean, that may determine whether he's a champion or not, but I still see a world in which he potentially just walks away. He's supposed to be taking some time off. Fairly major Fiend. Guile was big in the previous movie, but he's not necessarily a big character in the Street Fighter Pantheon. Certainly he's not a character I would have bothered to cast anywhere. Are we about to see a world in which Paul Heyman chooses Cody Rhodes? That could be interesting. That's a microphone. Okay, let's do that then. Now that's a code red, but they're going to refer to that as Pop Rocks. Put over Roxanne Perez. Do you see what I mean, though, about John Cena innovating? Trying different things. Surprising you. It's John Cena. Aaron says this is definitely a better match than Mania. How carefully is he removing things from that desk? How carefully? They're going to do a big dive? Is he going to do a big dive? Is he going to do an AA off that table into the other table? Yeah, I reckon so. Fiend says, Seth and Cody both ruling WWE's World Champion. Maybe they planned this at WrestleMania 40. Cody's going through. Good landing. That was a solid toss. That was a solid toss right there. Range was perfect. The tables have been pretty heavily used over the course of SummerSlam. Been enjoying it very much so far. Cena's trying to get Cody back in the ring. I'd imagine we're heading towards the finale now. If there's going to be something big, it's got to be coming soon. Yeah, Cena didn't put him too central, which was the correct way to do things. You remember when the table broke, Cody's body sort of turned itself into safety. You can see that he wasn't central, so he was sort of on his left side a little bit. And that just smoothly carried him to the floor. It was beautifully placed. Hector says, I love how going through the Spanish announce table has been a running thing for decades now. Was that the Spanish one? I thought he went off the Spanish one. I have to check. Cena seems pretty confident here. He's very much wrestling as a face. Crowd are responding well to it. No, you have to hit your 3 times to win. Fiend says, do we see a spot where Cena grabs the title and contemplates using it? Not this version, probably not. Rickan, Brock Lesnar has not been moved anywhere. Brock Lesnar has never left the current section on the WWE website. Every couple of months people try and convince everyone that there's a big deal and there's a big change in Brock Lesnar's contract. It's not. Brock Lesnar has never been on the alumni section of the WWE website. Man says, been here, just been lurking. Welcome, Martin. Always good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. Cody's got himself a bit of a comeback here. Going for a superplex, but I think Cena's got him here. Are we maybe expecting an avalanche AA? Everyone's got a headbutt now. Martin said, I did notice the solo match wasn't fun as nobody was talking about the actual match. Yeah, I just nothing much happened. Yes, isn't it? Cody very cleverly waited to open his eyes there. Very cleverly waited. Yeah, I think the cage match so far has been the worst one. But I will say, I do feel as though both the Solo versus Jacob Fatu cage match and the Dominik Mysterio AJ Styles match, I personally feel they might have been told to wrap up quicker. So it says they're definitely looking for people in the crowd who are cheering Cody. Few and far between at the moment. Hector says, what's your opinion on this weird reporting out there? There are certain Hispanic wrestlers pushing for Alberto to appear on the main roster. They're not. They're not. Nobody has got that guy's back. Finn says, that makes sense. AJ and Dom didn't go too long. Yeah, that's not based on any reporting. That is just what I personally feel based on what I've seen. Another Slim Jim table is in play. I will say again, I feel it needs to be said, I'm pretty sure this particular event contains the greatest ever amount of broken tables in a wrestling show. Yeah, people are weird about that. They really are. Very poor cover. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that table's going to be involved. McCann agrees AJ versus Dom felt rushed. Yeah, I just think Becky and Lyra probably went a bit long. Probably didn't realise quite how long it would take to hit all of the spots they were aiming for. Particularly with everything Bailey. Cody is wearing a bit of heel face. Like there's a bit of heel face going on there. Oh, we are indeed going through the crowd. There's no point having a street fight if you're not at some point going to go through the crowd. I think I just saw someone throw a drink at Cody. If so, that person's probably going to get thrown out. Okay, they've set up your step. Good catch. Good catch. I think I mentioned this yesterday. There is a dedicated section where they've just stored a load of stuff, which I'd imagine makes for awkward viewing. Are they going to go backstage? Yeah, throw a railing at him. Just throw a railing at him, why not? Hector says, even if it was for 5 minutes, both Hangman and CM Punk were world champions at the same time. I'm assuming for you that's important? To each their own. Okay, Finn, cool. An AA through that? I mean... Oh, no. Snap. Yeah, you don't fake that. That's just going to hurt, but at least it was relatively spread. Relatively spread. He did not look comfortable. The head was nicely cradled, though. Yeah, Cena's left with some lines on his back there. I still don't think anyone in particular has looked in the lead here. It's been difficult to say who's winning. That's a big inflatable. What's with the big inflatable? Is that a dead end? No, apparently not. Also, it's not even an inflatable. What am I on about? Just curtains, isn't it? Are they going to pop out of the trapdoor? I'm seeing smoke coming out of the trapdoor. They're going to come out of the trapdoor. It's a very big smile. That was a good visual. I was wondering why they'd carpeted the ramp. Makes sense now. That visual's going to get replayed a lot. On his side as well. Do you remember when they decided they had to push Cesaro, but they also didn't want to push Cesaro? So they just basically focused on the spin and the swirl, as it were, for his match against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. They kept showing you the spin again and again and again, but didn't actually give Cesaro any meaningful matches. He got one match against Roman and then he got forgotten about entirely. That's going to get replayed a lot, is all I'm saying. Yeah, he did indeed, Fiend. The very brief push. Billy says a lot of heavy lifting. Vince says falling off that hard should be illegal. I mean, Cody seems to be in control here. That's one. Again, it's one, so it's not going to work. It's already well established that Cody's got to hit 3 in order to actually win a match. But you kind of just say, your finisher is not good if you have to hit 3 of them to win a match. Ah, cool, Fiend. I was lucky enough to interview Cesaro before he left for AEW. Very good talker. Very good talker. Didn't really get the chance to show it on a one-to-one basis. And the match has been going for a while, but I can't say I've been upset by that. What weapons he got? Oh, chair. Again, a chair to the face, or a headshot that wasn't really. Seeing a lot of them today. Yes, Hector, it was 3 in a row. Fiend says, do you think Cesaro would have stayed around if Levesque had taken over as CCO? I don't necessarily think so, no. I think he was just done. Cody letting the heel out. So I said, if you need 3, it's not a helper. Sorry, it's not a finisher, it's a helper. Bailey says, I don't watch AW very much, but why is Claudio, formerly Cesaro, not pushed as he was in WWE? They've just got other people who push more. I mean, it's a street fight, so technically this is not a heel move. Though naturally it is. They are definitely teasing a heel turn here. Very true, Martin. Very true. Hector says this match is definitely better than their Mania match, but the bar wasn't set that high. Cody conflicted. Typically, if Cody is conflicted, he loses. Definitely seems to be, Martin. Definitely seems to be. The crowd are just continuing to boo Cody. Also, please don't put that there. That's just awkward. So I said this is the one time a you fans promo would fit a heel turn. Fickle, fickle, fickle. Going for a third. This is the most John Cena match we've seen in a long time. Rigan thinks Cody's definitely turning at some point. Finn says, why not use the title? Title's is nowhere near him. You can kind of hear Cena calling it. Don't know what they were going for there, but it didn't work. Going for another one. There's one. Remember, you've got to hit all three. You've got to hit all three for the win. Second one doesn't matter. If you hit the first one, you always hit the second one. You've got to hit all three for the win. If Cena's going to go for the balls, now's the time. That's all three. Okay, I'm understanding now why they've done the kick out of the one. I was wondering, why is he hitting one when we know and it's established you have to do three? That's why. That's why. Raycan says Triple H knows what he does, teasing these Cody heel tactics. Man says, now I want The Rock and Cody team up. It's The Rock who's pushing the idea of a Cody heel turn. Fans are not behind Cody. They're just not. Everywhere he goes, people start to turn. Super Cena indeed. He's gone for the belt. We are officially in the world of Dark Cody. Bailey, you're not wrong. It was Gunter's big mistake. Gunter's big mistake was touching the title. He should never have touched the title. We all knew. I said at the time, that's where it's all going wrong. Gonna do another one? Given what Cody just kicked out of, this should not be it. Gonna have to avalanche. The avalanche should be a win, but you never can tell anymore. You never can tell anymore. Cena's not got anything stronger. There is nothing in his arsenal that's stronger than the avalanche. If Cody kicks out of the avalanche, he's got to win it. He did. Cena doesn't have anything stronger. There's nothing else established in his arsenal. That is his top move. So what's he got left? What's next? What can he do? Martin, there are different conflicting reports on it. So I'm not really sure. He's definitely due some time off and he's been granted that time off, but I wouldn't necessarily think he's going to be a champion when he goes. But we're going to find out. My predictions, as I've said, all champions retain. So far, 5 out of 5. Blue says this feels like a situation where if Cody doesn't win tonight, he has to beat Cena eventually. Well, to be fair, this is only Cena Cody 2. This is only Cena Cody 2. You know rule of threes. Bit divided on Cena as well. People do not know who to cheer here. It's basically a battle for who's the new Superman. Okay, the break between this means that it's not going to work. Joey, this has been a great match. There was Hector. Everyone loves the rule of three. There's a good cheer for Cody there. Cutter? Cutter. Feel like they're rushing towards a finish here. You're not wrong there, Fiend. Is that going to be it? After the saloon? Yeah? Cody beats Cena. Cody becomes WWE Champion one more time. That was a very confusing match. The fans did not know who to cheer. I don't know if the fans are really going to embrace him here. The replay of Cody being avalanched is presented by Cody's Vodka. So Cody makes money off that. Give it time, Hector. Always give it time before you make a play there. Pete gives the match an 8. I think they overplayed their hand by the end. I think the crowd were a little confused, and I do think it got long and lost momentum near the end. I'm giving it a 7. I still think it was a good match. I don't think it was spectacular. Blue says, I think this was the original intention for Mania. Super faces against each other. So you're suggesting that basically this is what we would have got with no Rock. There's still a chance for Cody to like attack Cena and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that could happen. B gives it an 8. Jordan gives it an 8. Says strange ending though. The other Mike says give that all the stars. Fiend says I don't think it was a strange ending. So I give it a 7.5. Could have been a lot worse. Bailey says 7 out of 10. And Sean says, what do you think is next for Cody? I think it depends on what's about to happen. Fiend says 8.5 from me. Great main event. Punk Gunter was better though. Punk Gunter, I think, is definitely the match of the weekend. Is Cody now going to kick him in the balls? Cody a bit emotional there. This feels like it should have been the end of Cena's final run. Again, still time. Still time for a kick in the balls. No? You don't want to do that? Okay. It was literally a battle for the new Superman, which I think we all knew was going to be Cody anyway. Again, still time. I mean, people have hyped this up. Fiend says, do they go up the stage together? No. It's gone quiet. Camera's gone off Cody. Blue says, did not expect them to play it straight. Maybe the intention wasn't for Cena to actually win 17 this year. And they pivoted. What else does he do now? Dunno. Will say, I love seeing classic Cena. I missed him. Michael Cole did say 4 months left. This feels very much like a goodbye, though. John Cena has been going through his greatest hits. John Cena had a list of people that he wanted to work with. And the people that he wanted to work with, the WWE made happen. And that is all I've got to say on that particular subject. He was never not cleared, Fiend. He was never not cleared. He was always available. The WWE were not interested. And then John Cena started talking about him. It's just an... Oh, you can see Nick Khan in this corner again. It's just an unpleasant reminder. Do you remember we talked about it being a MAGA company? Which, by the way, is why John Cena might have to turn face. Because I don't think there's going to be many people cheering Brock Lesnar. I fucking hope not. Neither did I, Joey. Neither did I. Yeah, sadly, Blue, you're not wrong there, are you? Just a very sad reminder of the world that we live in, isn't it? There's going to be more on this during spoiler warning. I've given you a rough description of the situation, and you know basically how it's come about. But during tomorrow's spoiler warning, we'll have full and considerable details. In the meantime, though, we're going to end our show with a smile and a thank you. Because once again, we're wrapping up what's been a very fun show. You guys have been great company, great friends, and great amusement. And I thank you all for it. We'll be back tomorrow for spoiler warning, 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be going into plenty of detail as to everything that has just happened. Check out spoiler warning. Make sure to set a reminder. Do not be missing it for this one. In the meantime, I've been Tom Collique. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.